Welcome back to the Rock Nole channel for the special group panel. Some of the best and brightest minds in the FSU YouTube sphere and me. And Jesse gave me this idea a long time ago. We ran with it once and it was awesome. We called it group therapy. And then TJ came on a show later on and said, man, maybe we should do it again sometime. And that's all I needed to hear. And what an awesome group of people. And they were so gracious with their time and getting back to me and saying, let's do it. And to get 8 people to come in on one night is not easy. And these guys made it like painless for me. So we came here, decided to preview the season. As I told Trey, no rules, speak your mind. I'm not going to treat this like group therapy because like the season's going to happen whether we like it or not. So it is what it is, but I'm pumped to be here. I am pumped for the season, like regardless this time of year.
You sound like it, dude.
I know. But I'm so excited to be here. Let me just introduce everyone real quick in case you should know who they all are, unless you've been living in like a Nole Rock on YouTube. Jesse and Michael are the hosts of Plant the Spear. Vince and Big Papa East, that's Ryan, are the hosts of Garnet and Old. Logan, you all know him, NoleGameday. Had a great show last night. I enjoyed it and chimed in. CJ Wilson from Doak Talk and the famous Lot 19 Tailgates. And just he does awesome stuff on YouTube. He ran a great show over the weekend with James Coleman. Trey Rowland, do I need to even say his name? Noles 247, X's and Noles. Hosted the podcast the other day with Chris and the boys, and it was fantastic. And TJ Pittinger, one of the OGs in the game from Double Fries No Slaw, College Football Addiction, X, you name it. So glad to have all these guys here. Someone just popped in and said the rollcast for you. People still remember you.
It's still alive, dude. Never dies. Love you.
So, thank everybody in the chat. If I don't get to you, it's because I want to make sure everyone has their time to talk. But I'm going to get right to it. I'm going to keep my mouth shut more this time. I'll try. We're here to preview the season. I know you guys have talked about it in depth on your shows, but I love this group panel setting because sometimes we can like pick at each other and get ideas. So, Ryan, I said I would start with you because you're limited on time. Has there been anything that has surprised you so far during fall camp for the amount of information we've gotten?
No, and the good news is I'll be straight for 45 minutes, it turns out. So
okay,
we're
thank
all
you.
Good. So
okay.
I think we got some time. The only thing I've been surprised about is more an inner reflection on myself for even having a flinch of excitement. So like in the last week or so, I thought I was dead inside a few weeks ago. Yeah, I just felt numb. I was like, it didn't feel like a real season coming up. And now in the last week and a half, some of the things, not all of the things, but some of the things I'm like, okay, like I'm interested to see this piece. I might not be interested or excited about everything happening, but there's like pieces I can't wait to see on the game day. So that's what I'm excited about, and mostly around the linebacker core and also pieces, just curiosity on what Ashton Daniels looks like in live reps in a Florida State uniform. So I'm excited about those pieces specifically.
And I watched the game film back from last time, and I realized Trey went last a lot of times. So I want to make sure I get him early this time. I watched the game film. I went back. Trey, anything stood out to you? Stuff you've gleaned, stuff you've noticed?
Some things. I mean, there's like micro stories that are interesting, like the running back rotation. I think is very interesting, right? Like everybody wants to keep counting out Sam Singleton. The coaches continue to just kind of heap praise on him, like, and it's interesting, like that. I think that's great. The linebacker rotation's kind of funny. I think if you heard in spring, there was a lot of talk like Omar and Blake, and I was like rolling my eyes into the back of my head because I heard that story before, right? Now it seems like Chris Jones has finally emerged as like the guy there. A lot of Isaiah Williams talk, which is we can get into depth stuff, but that's its own thing. So there's a lot of micro stories, but the story of the season is the hot seat, dude. And I agree. I like getting into ball. I like talking ball. But I think, to me, the real story of this season, especially if it starts to get off the rails, is when does the humiliation kink end? Like what is going to be embarrassing enough for them to hit the ejector seat? If it does get there, I don't know, right? Like there's been a lot of positive talk. Mike has been very positive. I thought a lot of his comments today were, I thought he had a really good interview on Noles247.com with his comments. I I did say, like, when I saw him starting to heap praise on the tight end room and he's going to have multiple tight ends on the field at once, I took that with a grain of salt, and that made me kind of like look at all of his other like praise funny, because I don't believe in that room at all. So I don't know, man. Like, it's just them, the way that they're trying to combat the obvious overall mega story of what they're dealing with, which is putting everybody in a tough situation. And I don't know, I feel like everybody's kind of aware of it, but they're not talking about it. So the micro stuff's interesting. It's that macro story that's why the whole nation is kind of looking at Florida State right now. That's the story of this program.
Oh, awesome. CJ Wilson, anything stood out to you? Like, I know you and James did a show, but
yeah, a few things, I guess, and just to kind of piggyback on Trey say as far as Sam. I mean, Sam has been tearing camp up. Trey has been hurt the last few weeks, and Sam, I guess, taking advantage of it more than Sam. I wouldn't be surprised if he's top 2 when it comes to the running back. I think carries will dictate early on based upon pay as well too. But as the season progresses, I wouldn't be surprised if he's top 2. Not necessarily a surprise, but I was speaking with Evan Cooper over the summer a lot, and he was real high on Ashland Barker in regards to what he's been doing over the summer, leadership, workouts, and that type of deal. Of course, he broke the rock, and that kind of made me start putting pieces together. Okay, maybe it's some legs behind that. And of course, I believe last year, prior to him getting hurt, he was on track for a big season. He's moved to the Earl Little position this year. I think he may be more suited for that versus Earl, as far as, we saw Earl kind of throw his body around, and he's 185 pounds, right, soaking wet. And I think you bring Ashton Barker in that position, you get more of an enforcer and a guy that can kind of wrap up and make those tackles. And again, the linebacker room, Chris Jones is, and not just the linebacker room, the top to bottom, let's put it that way. It's a complete 180 from the energy in the room, from a coaching standpoint. That's trickling down with Chris Jones. I mean, Chris Jones and Ernie Sims are pretty much one of the same guys when it comes to a mentality. Once they step between those lines, it's being pretty much all gas, no brakes. So I'm interested in that. But I do want to see year 2 within this defense and Tony White, and also the defensive line and Trey, which I don't believe in that tight end room at all. So I do take that within the grain of salt as well. But I want to see how that defensive line look, especially depth pieces.
That's a great point. No one's talking about that right now. But TJ, anything that stood out to you?
Yeah, I like what CJ said about the depth at defensive line. I think we feel somewhat confident about the starters, and you lose Darryl, and it's obviously a big hit. But the worry that I think I had coming out of the portal season was, did they get enough depth there? I think what you have from a lot of positions, right? And we can all argue or lament or be frustrated at the talent level at some of the areas on this roster. But I do think for the most part, you kind of know what you got. You certainly know what you got at the wide receiver room. You kind of know what you got at running back. You got some confidence in Herb Hand to be able to pull together an offensive line that's competent. You like some defensive backs. But I think the defensive line and just the depth there, I mean, as games get long, as the season gets long, what made Florida State so successful in 2023 in getting pressure was the way they rotated all year. Will Florida State be able to get anywhere close to having enough bodies that are effective? I mean, plenty of bodies, but having enough bodies that are effective throughout the year to really bring that intensity throughout the year. I'm certainly not expecting anybody to be, Jared or Braden, but at the same time, those guys were not only elite, but they were fresh in Charlotte because they had been rotated so much. So I think CJ's point about the defensive line is probably my biggest question mark. We couldn't stop the run, at all last year. Can we be a little bit better up front? Because if not, I don't know that much of the rest of the roster is really going to amount to a whole lot if you can't stop the run every couple of downs.
Yeah, and talk to me in week 6. Yeah, talk to me week 6 or 7 when you're beat up.
Have we tackled Jaden Ball yet?
He's still running.
No, he's still running. He's still running. But Logan, anything that stood out to you?
I think TJ, CJ, they brought up some good points. I mean, my biggest concern has been the defensive line. I mean, you brought in James Williams last year. That was all patty cake throughout his season in Tallahassee. It was pathetic. It just no pass rush. And I think if Florida State doesn't have anyone off the edge that can step up, I think Rylan Kennedy saw a big jump up in this fall camp. Jalen Anderson is kind of a wild card to me. It seems like Nick Williams, the new defensive ends coach, loves him, liking the development there. Shows a lot of fight. I think flags are going to be something to watch out for. He's going to have to mature quite quickly, and that's going to be something that's going to have to be corrected early in the season. But you can tell he's got some juice to him. He's an undersized guy, but they're hindering on him to take on that other spot across from Ryland Kennedy. I would like to hear more about Kevin Wynn, guys. We haven't heard anything about him throughout the spring. Yes, we know his body changed. He looks great. He trimmed down and such. We know he's a strong dude. But I just wish we were hearing some more in there, along with like Daniel Lyons, because we're hearing the DeSears twins, and I don't think that's any shock. They kind of had a quiet spring, reshaped a little bit more of their body. This fall, they've just been monsters, it seems like. And so Daryl was one guy I was keeping a close eye on to see if he could take that next step like his brother did last year. But if Daryl can jump in there, then I feel a little bit better on depth wise. But Florida State's got to get to the quarterback this season. It's been a joke. I mean, it was a joke with Marvin Jones Jr. When Pat Payton played that year. I didn't even know if two of those guys played on the field at some times. It's just got to be better. And so we'll see, but it certainly would help out, like Chris Jones said in his interview earlier this week, like, a defensive line can get going. This just makes my life so much easier. And, I think another question is who's going to be beside Chris Jones? Who is going to be that guy? Is it Caleb LaValle? Is it Bear? He's just now kind of getting back into the rotation. Is Omar Graham going to finally, take the step that all of us have been looking forward to seeing? We'll see about Blake Nicholson. I think that's, another one that we're kind of looking into just a few weeks away from kickoff.
That's awesome. Vince, anything stood out to you?
Yeah, I would say that I'm just super excited that we're actually talking about the team, and we're hearing about like players and things that are going. It was the desert. We were wandering the desert for months and months and months, and there was nothing to talk about. But now at least we're getting some stuff. The roster is the roster. There's only a handful of guys that I can look on this team and think, yeah, these guys remind me of the Florida State guys that I grew up watching, that I sat in Doak and watched and cheered on. But the rest of the roster kind of is what it is, and to hear like the talking going on about specific guys, we have to be good stewards of those interviews and figure out like, is this just recent Florida State good, or is this like legit goods? Like, there's no way to know that until the games start to be played. And so the thing that I'm looking for the most, forget about ceiling. I'm more concerned with like floor, and I don't even mean like individual people floor. I mean like culture floor. Like we know that there are going to be games that are not going to go well. And there are games that are going to be lost. Is this team going to continue, this program going to continue to just pack it in? And I that's the thing for me. Individual players, yes, I'm interested to see all that. But from a culture standpoint, from all the things they preach about that, we can't talk about responding, and we can't talk about all these things. And I know what it looks like and all this kind of stuff when we continually see time after time, the team just, saying, I'm out, I'm done here. And that's never been, at least as long as I've been alive, the Florida State thing. It's like you push till the end, and in the end you win. Great. If you don't, at least you gave all that you could to the guy beside you, to the coach that's been pouring all this love and energy into you. That's the thing to me that I'm interested to see, is if we're able to weather even the tiniest bit of adversity when it comes this season.
That's a great point, but that's the thing, is we rely on the portal so much. A lot of these guys, I hate to use the word one-year rentals, but a lot of them are. So it's like we lose a couple games and they're like, well, all right. It's different at the schools who recruit more, who kind of have bought in and have been there for years and care more. But that being said, Michael, I saved you last for a reason. But before I get to you, has anything stood out to you so far or surprised you?
Yeah, I mean, I think in this is year 7 for Mike Norvell. I think in year 7, crazy, right? I think we've become.
I see a lot of shaking heads.
Yeah. I think we've become.
What a ride it's been.
I'm gonna climb.
I feel like we did this right.
Oh my gosh. I think we've become adept at like interpreting Mike Norvell press conference now. Like, because you have to get through the 50,000 you have to get through the I feel and all like that stuff. And you try to sift out what you can and understand. And as I've been watching them, so I'll do this. I'll talk about the positive. Obviously, the linebacker room, I'm excited for that. Chris Jones, the way Usman Chroma talked about him, like, you have to believe Usman. Like, you don't think he's going to get up there and just spit some nonsense about that. And you saw that clip where he got jacked at one good time, and you're like, yeah, that's Florida State linebacker, right? That's what it looks like to hit somebody. So I'm excited about the room. What concerns me, though, is if you go back and you watch Mike Norvell's press conference from spring to now, the way he talks about Ashton Daniels, okay, just the way, just look at the clues and the hints that tells me he is not thrilled with what he's seeing, but he has nothing behind him. Kevin Sperry has not been great.
Again, by the way, obviously Malachi Marshall is getting up to speed, but that dude's skinnier than a stick, right? So you're not going to put him out there right now.
The Slim Reaper 2.0.
The Slim Reaper, yes, make sure I get that right. Because one time on our show, I said the Black Reaper when I was talking about James Blackman. But the way he talks about Ashton Daniels has me concerned. He'll say, well, yeah, he had a good throw here. He's still got to, continue to do this, or we're looking at different angles. He talks about him more from a leadership standpoint than from an actual what he is doing on the field standpoint. And when a coach has to talk about your leadership acumen more than what you're doing on the field, that tells you you're struggling on the field. And so that's my really big concern, because if Ashton is not a great trigger man, it doesn't matter what else they do under Mike Norvell. This is DJU terrible offense of line all over again, where the offensive line don't trust the quarterback don't trust the offensive line, the receivers are looking to catch a paycheck, they can't catch balls, like the whole situation all over again. So that's my biggest concern coming out as we get closer and closer to New Mexico State, is that he doesn't trust Ashton. And so what does he do? Because he doesn't have a backup plan.
I think to Michael's point, when I hear Norvell talk about Ashton Daniels, he's talking about like he's getting a really good deal on like a 2017 Toyota Corolla. It's muted as shit. That's
a hell of a car. That's a hell of a car.
No, dependable, great leadership. Yeah, totally steady, but it's a very steady, calm. There's nothing that is engendering excitement in the off season, right? He's a steady hand, which you can win with a steady hand, but you have to have the prerequisite skill talent, right? You're making it harder on yourself, which is a lesson that we've learned over and over again, especially in college football. A great quarterback is an eraser. A great quarterback makes your life easier. We keep taking the path of most resistance, and it can work. I actually do think that they have the potential to have a productive offense with Ashton Daniels as the quarterback. Once again, if you get more Auburn Ashton, less Stanford Ashton, but you're threading a tight needle, man, because there's some things that he can do well. He's physically sturdy. You need to utilize him in the run game, or else the offense is a dud.
Right.
And he makes quick decisions. He doesn't read the field. Now, once defenses realize that he's a different quarterback when you blitz him and it goes off a cliff, they're going to figure that out. Just like Virginia figured out you could run crossers at the linebackers all year and the defense is cooked. So go ahead.
Yeah.
Michael.
Well, I was going to say, Trey, you're right. He's not quick to get off that first read. If that first read is in there, you can go back and watch the film. Even against Kentucky at Auburn, he would hang on to that first read even when the defense was telling you pre-snap, it's not there. Most quarterbacks have like a 2 to 3 second clock on that first read. If it's not there, they're going to the second, third, and fourth read. He will hang on to that read, and then that's an issue. I agree with you as well. They can win if Mike Norvell sets him up as well, and he shows he can improve as a player. The issue I have is the way he's talking about him. It doesn't elude confidence that he's confident that he can call
100%. I agree
any
with that.
play You know, Jordan Travis 2022, right? 10-3 season. Jordan Travis 2021, Mike Norvell was not confident he could call any play and it be executed. In 2022, you saw what happened when Mike Norvell had uber confidence in Jordan Travis. That offense finally took off. Let's forget the 3-game losing streak. It finally took off. And then obviously in 2023, you know, Jordan Travis was the reason we were winning games basically in 23 besides the defense. So when Mike Norvell has uber confidence in his quarterback, you hear it from him. He is trying to project as much confidence as possible. But if you've listened to enough of his press conference, you can tell when he's confident and when he's trying to project confidence.
Michael,
he's not good at it.
Let me add something there. So we have Ashton Daniels because we wanted him, yes, but not because he was first on the list.
Correct.
Right. And so they went into that situation with him understanding the limitations of whatever they were going to be. And, you know, coming in when he did, he probably has done everything that he could possibly do to get as ready as he possibly could be. But it's still not going to engender the confidence, like you said. So maybe that confidence, you know, thank the good Lord above, we have a game, you know, the first game is against New Mexico State. And by the way, I don't count any chickens at all, ever. But thank goodness we can see things live. I do believe he will get better throughout the season. I do believe that. But he is never, I don't think you're ever going to get a confident Norvell about him and his skill set. I just don't think you're ever going to get that.
Yeah. What's too bad is, we talked about the Slim Reaper aspect of it, but what's a shame is if Malachi Marshall had the body type, he has the quickest read and gets to his first, second, third reads quicker than any of our quarterbacks on the field. If you watch his JUCO tape, like it's pretty nice, like how quickly he goes through the progressions and how quickly his release is. I love his release of the football. But I honestly believe, and I'm interested with us utilizing Ashton Daniels on the ground, because we're going to have to utilize his legs. If he were to get hurt, I kind of feel like Malachi Marshall ends up being your second string and not Kevin Sperry, just for fit in the offense, to be honest with you. Like, that's just my gut feeling. But I feel what you guys are feeling from that. And the defenders of Ashton Daniels, I get, like, yeah, you want Florida State to do well. We all want Florida State to do well, but it does have like the horny hive feel to it, like, you know, Horny Brook action. I
remember that.
That desperation, like you want it so bad to have a decent quarterback that you're just like, let's roll with it, and it's going to be great. It's going to be awesome, guys. That's kind of like the desperate feel I feel from like some of the social media and message boards, but I think we know what to expect. I feel like I know what to expect from Ashton Daniels. I feel like he's going to be.
He's played a lot of football.
Different type, but similar up and down. He's
still a wild card.
He doesn't need to be Superman. He really doesn't.
No.
He just needs to not lose the games. Right? I think there's enough talent to rack up a number of wins. I really think there is, especially in this league. There really is. He can't be, the critical error. And if he can avoid that, I think at the end of the season, even though we want Florida State to be way up here, I think at the end of the season, we could all reconvene, like someone's asking here in the chat. We should reconvene. That we'll look back on the season and go, you know what? That was a step in the right direction. But he cannot make those kind of mistakes that we've seen him make.
Yeah, no, I agree. But people forget that regardless of third choice or not, he was recruited by Gus for Gus.
Yep.
True.
He was not like the Mike Norvell type quarterback. Gus can get away with an Ashton Daniels.
Yeah.
The way he calls. I understand the offenses are similar, but they're really not in some ways. I think people forget that. But Jesse, any thoughts on Ashton or something that surprised you?
Yeah, I'll say for the whole team, to me, this year is a big part. It's a story. I'm not going to say strengths and weaknesses. I'm going to say strengths and question marks, right? Like, you legitimately have some strengths on this roster. I think the running back room is one of the best in the ACC, potentially, if Usman Chroma lives up to his
hype.
And
the offensive line is decent.
Well, the strengths and question things go to me where the running back room can be one of the best in the ACC, but you have to trust the offensive line is going to unlock the way for them, right? You have one of the best receiving rooms potentially in the ACC, but you have to trust the offensive line is going to give Ashton Daniels time. Ashton Daniels is going to be able to feed those guys. So it's like the strengths that you have on this team are dependent on some of the biggest questions you also have on this team. I think you got a load of talent in the secondary. You got to trust they can get a pass rush, or else they're going to be back there covering in no man's land for 4 and 5 seconds. So I think there's some legitimate reasons to be excited about this roster. There are some legitimate reasons to really think this team can surprise. There's also some reasons to step back and say, man, if this doesn't work out, maybe that's not going to be as good as we hoped it was. If that doesn't work out, maybe that's not going to be as good as we hoped it was. But at the same time, I think the biggest concern for me is I just don't see anything what I call elite in the trenches. And when I say elite gets thrown around way too much nowadays. I'm talking about Verse, Fisk, a Jalen Carter at Georgia type of guy. Like, I don't see those game changers in the trenches. Exactly. Yeah. That's what worries me the most. But that doesn't mean you don't have a lot of good, right? If the Twins pop, if Daniel Lyons steps to the call that they've said that he has, I think you got something there. And then from the quarterback perspective, for me, I do think, like, if Malachi Marshall had got here in the spring and was 200 pounds, I think he's your starter without a doubt.
Absolutely.
But I think with the running game, if the O-line works and they can run the ball like they want to, you're not going to have to put a whole lot on him. And I do think with Ashton Daniels, you have to separate what he did at Stanford when he literally had no help. Like, I think it was 2024, no Stanford running back scored a touchdown that season, which is like an NCAA record. I mean, they were ass across the board at Stanford. So I think when you look at his time at Auburn, when he had Cam Coleman and some of the guys there, some of the weapons that he had that could actually create separation, he actually was pretty good, man. I mean, he had, I think, 450 yards against Vandy with a 51-yard touchdown run call back. He had 370 all-purpose yards against Alabama, and they dropped 7 passes in that game. I think if you give him a receiver room with Deuce and Danzy and Jason Lopez, the freshman sensation is what it's looking like, then I think if you don't ask him to do too much and win games with his arms, man, I think he can be good enough. The problem for me is, like, when you look at the quarterback position as a whole, going back to the last few years, like, and I hate to give them credit for anything, but you saw Miami pay up for a quarterback, right? Like, Cam Ward drugged that team to 10 wins. Yeah. If it wasn't for Cam Ward, that's a 6-win team. Carson Beck tried to throw that team under the bus, but he was good enough to lead them to where they were. And then they paid up for Mensa. And then you come here with the same GM from Duke that just saw an expensive quarterback that you paid $4 million for lead you to your first ACC championship since like the 50s. Go, no, we don't really want to pay up for a quarterback. And so it's now you're kind of rinse and repeating the same formula that didn't work the last 2 years to hope it works again this year when you look at all the skill talent and what a good quarterback could have done for you. But again, man, I actually have a little bit, I don't want to say like I'm projecting Ashton Daniels to be top 5 in the ACC as far as a passing quarterback by any means. But, man, if he can run for 800 yards, if he can throw for 2,500 yards and not turn the ball over a lot, which he did a great job of at Auburn last year, he really cut down on his turnovers. Man, I think you can be functional enough in this offense. It's really just going to be a question of the defense. But it does sound like in year 2 under Tony White, they have a better understanding of the system. Tony White is, I love listening to him talk. Like, you have to drag me through a Mike Novell press conference. I will sign up to listen to Tony White 8 days a week because he is, you know, he's a straight shooter, man. And he sounds like there was guys that were disrespecting the logo last year and, you know, not taking things seriously. And it does really sound like, man, if they got the pieces to keep up talent-wise, because you got to understand, man, this schedule is no joke, right? The schedule doesn't make you a better or worse team. You are the team that you are regardless of the schedule. But, like, to Vince's point when he opened up, man, how do you respond to adversity? Because this team has some winnable games on the back half of the schedule. Pitt's winnable. Boston College is winnable. We don't know what Florida's going to be. NC State at home is a winnable game. But what if you lose to Louisville and Miami and Alabama or SMU or all of them?
I was going to get to that. Yeah.
Right. Like, does this team quit by the time you get to that bye week at Clemson? Is Mike Norvell even still the coach? Because he shouldn't be at that point. Or do you surprise and you get some momentum rolling? But again, man, I think my final thought on this is, like, the entire season, it's still going to be like 2 fingers to the eyes, 2 fingers to you, because, you know, you went 7-17, then you went 23-4, then produced 7-17. You beat Alabama, then you lost to Stanford. You can never get comfortable with Mike Norvell as the coach, and I think that's the hardest part, because I do think this team has the ability to sneak up and win some games. But, you know, when you look at that schedule, man, again, like Rhett Lashley says and Manny Diaz says, like, we don't know what these teams are going to be until you actually play games. We don't know how hard that schedule really is until you actually see them play some games. but it can be tough to find 8 wins on that schedule. And to me, it's got to be 8 wins or better, or you got to be looking for another coach.
TJ down there, we talked a while ago, and I think everybody said when the schedule came out, you got to win SMU or the season's going to go off the rails. It was a must-win game. Has your take changed at all on that, or you look at the schedule of this team and say, maybe we can lose that game and rebound, or it's going to get ugly?
I mean, it's hard to speak in absolutes because
of course
none of us probably would have picked Bama at this time, or picked us to beat Bama at this time last year.
So, grinded.
Yeah, like yeah, there are a lot of caveats that you could throw into things, but yeah, like if you're looking at the schedule, if you lose to SMU, then you probably need to upset Bama or Miami on the road.
Yeah,
like to account for that. And so, yeah, just what's more likely, right? Like Bama's already a 3-score favorite. Miami will be at least that down in Hard Rock at the time that game happens. I mean, you've got SMU at home on a Labor Day night, right? Like, and we saw last year the crowd still shows up, and I don't know that they'll show up the whole year this year if things go off the rails again, but the crowd will be there. That's your best chance to get one. And I'm not putting SMU on the level of Bama or Miami because I think those are potential playoff teams again this year, and I don't really know that SMU is in that same category. But yeah, man, if you lose to SMU, it's just really hard to see a path to you going on the road and winning in Tuscaloosa 2 weeks later. It's really hard to see you going down to South Beach or South Florida and winning a game down there. So yeah, could you figure out a way to pull it off the rails if you lose to SMU? Sure. But that is the game. Like if that one doesn't go your way, it's really hard to think, man, where are the wins on this schedule? Yeah, you'll beat the 2 cupcakes. You may finally win a road game for the first time in 3 years by beating BC. But like, are you beating Louisville on a Friday night if you couldn't beat SMU at home on Labor Day? Are you beating Pitt on the road on a Friday night? Are you beating UF if you couldn't beat SMU, who I think is a more talented roster, though the quarterback may not be as good as Jennings is, whoever Florida starts. So yeah, man, if you don't beat SMU, your margin for error in every other game gets a lot tougher. So to me, there's been important games, but the most critical game the most critical next game for Mike Norvell's job is that SMU game without a doubt.
Yeah, I'll just say on that, like we did say last year, we did a whole episode on is the most important game of Mike Norvell's career, the Alabama game, because if he loses coming off 2-10, it's like the pitchforks are coming out. And then it was like, oh dude, we rebounded. We're good. Like me and Mike were standing on the field after storming it like, bro, we're going to the playoffs. What's happening here? And then you crap the bed immediately after, right? So you have to follow through and be consistent. But to TJ's point, I think you got to get one of those first 2. And I think you going into that Louisville-Miami stretch, I think you got to be 4-1.
Yeah. CJ, you call SMU a must-win? I know every game's must-win, but I'm saying if they have any hope for a decent season.
No, I think this is probably I don't agree as far as the Bama game. A lot of people really thought that was going to be a loss regardless and wasn't going to be on Mike Norvell because they feel like Bama was one of the more talented teams in the country. But I do think within this tenure, this could be the most important game within this tenure because if you start off 1-2, I don't think they'll beat Bama on the road. If you start off 1-2, that shit's looking real shaky, man, moving forward if you start off 1-2 because we know went 7-17 the last few years, you start 1-2, the fans are already going to be out of it. Social media is going to be a lot louder than what it was. And then you get into that stretch of Virginia, Louisville, Miami, and Clemson. But I do, and it goes back to Vic's point, it's a tough stretch, to be honest with you. But we had a lot of front runner. Well, we had a bunch of front runners on the team last year. We had a front runner mentality. I wanted to see that first slap in the face, that first adversity, and see how the team responds moving forward because we saw it responded last year. We were the best fucking team in the world, beat Bama, beat the fuck out of these 2 cupcake teams, this, that, and the third. We doing this, that, and the third. We get slapped in the face against Virginia, and the rails pretty much fell off from there. So we had even at the quarterback position, I believe Tommy was a front runner. I don't believe he was a great leader when, hey guys, let's bounce back and what's next. He wasn't a what's next type of guy. I want to see who's on his team is going to be what's next type of guy because we're going to see that it's going to happen for sure. How you're going to respond is my biggest question mark on the season. But I do think this SMU game, to answer your question, is probably the biggest in this tenure because you're going to start off 1-2. The shit is a wrap after that, in my opinion.
Yeah, and we saw how much it helped us in 2022 having that game the week before LSU.
Well, Jeremy,
you get a it's like a great scrimmage to see. But Logan, what do you think about the
real quick to TJ's point? I mean, the shit is stacked up in our favor. It's going to be a night game. It's going to be it's going to be rocking Labor Day. It's going to be a nice atmosphere as far as from a potential standpoint. What we do with that potential is going to be up to the team, but the stage is definitely going to be set to pull off a win against SMU, in my opinion.
Yeah,
I would
add into that like the fact that hopefully there isn't much wear and tear on the team yet, right? So you add that into it. So early in the season, there's really no excuse or very few excuses for that game to go any other way than a win.
Yeah, well, I would agree. I was just gonna say that is I think the fan base, like CJ is saying, I think everyone's really kind of locked up Bama as an L. Though I will just say, Mike Norvell, early season SEC games, the man knows how to win them. So apparently, he's undefeated. Okay,
he's got some kind of
who runs the SEC West?
Exactly,
some kind of voodoo.
Exactly.
But Logan,
we got that whole road thing. One of the roads.
Exactly.
Imagine if he gets the streak snapped in Bama.
Oh,
and he's like, guys, I was just building up for this one. Like,
I
was just the last 2 years was a getting ready.
Exactly.
But
what
Logan chess, not checkers.
is if you look at SMU, okay, like, and I know Indiana has kind of somewhat broken the blue chip thingy, but if you look at SMU and you look at Florida State's roster, it's not even close. Florida State has way more blue chips, has way more high 4-star products on the team than SMU does. It's clear and it's easy to understand. The game's at home. It's a night game. Doak at night. We all know what Doak at night feels like. Woof. It's a different animal, right? I agree.
Jennings is not going to be rattled there.
He's not going to be rattled, but
he's a veteran.
You have no excuse to lose that game. You really do not. Okay. Now you might lose it because of the quarterback and because of the head coach, but really you should not lose that game. If you lose that game, we're already counting Bama as a loss. Then you have to come back and you got Virginia at home again. And you got the voodoo from what happened last year in Charlottesville, right? That's the thing. That's why you cannot lose SMU, because SMU begins a snowball effect that could just lead to, and then, if you lose SMU, you might as well go ahead and say he's getting fired at Miami if he loses SMU.
SMU is the fork in the road, really.
Yeah. It's the second game of the year. That's straight. Logan, what's your take on the SMU game?
That's certainly an important one. I think they'll get punched in the mouth. I mean, back in 2024, what was that score? 42-16.
Yeah. They're still running.
Yeah, no, it was nasty. I was up in Asheville and I was at a wedding and we had no power. That was when the hurricane hit, and so I didn't get to watch most of that. I'm glad I didn't. But I mean, I got to have the rewatch, and I mean, Rhett Lashley just ate them up. And that there's a chance that could happen in the first quarter. They might get punched in the mouth, and
they've had all off season to get ready for this.
Yeah, and CJ, you brought up the point of who's going to respond, and I've been harping on the whole Tommy thing. I mean, I think what he said last year, whenever we talked to him at the UF game, saying that we asked him, is there anything you feel like you need to improve on after the season? He said no. He said there was nothing that he really needed to work on. That's awful. That's sad. Bad leadership, no accountability. And so you had to find a new leader. I don't know how much of that you're going to get with Ashton Daniels. He might be able to show that with you, maybe with his play to earn respect from his teammates. And it seems like that's happening through these camps, but it's going to have to show under the lights. And that's where he kind of sketches out at some points. He's had some times where he's shown fight and Vanderbilt had, a strong game there, but he's got to work on his confidence. And if he can show up as a leader, I think you already know what you've got with Chris Jones, Ashton Barker. He had a lot of egos in that defensive back room with Edwin Joseph, Earl Little Jr. Seemed like that was just a shit show all on the defensive side of the ball. I don't know what was going on there with Tony White's defense last year, but they read the room very wrong. They feel like they've got a better product over there, not only just on the field, but off the field. There's going to have to be some guys that call guys out. That's something that has lacked across the board for Florida State for a very long time. No accountability, not wanting to communicate. We saw great communication at that Alabama game. Linebackers flying, they're communicating, talking to the defensive line, but that just disappeared, like you guys said, once they built up all that confidence. Beat those two sorry-ass teams, and then, go off to Virginia, and Tommy Castellanos is chirping to the crowd, and, they get popped in the mouth. So accountability and guys that can respond and hold each other to where the standard must be is going to be key. And maybe Chris Jones is that guy. Ashton Barker is that guy. And Daniel Lyons out of nowhere, if he shows us that he can be that guy, we shall see.
Yeah.
No, I agree.
You know what would be a great 30 for 30 is an expose between Bama and Virginia. I'd love to see some behind the scenes.
No,
footage.
because from what I had heard was that the players were chirping at the crowd, like he said about Tommy Virginia game. They weren't ready to play that night.
Yeah.
No,
I mean, they came back great, but it shouldn't have been like that.
Yeah. I think they thought
that's indictment on the coach.
Oh, it's Virginia. You know, the old you can roll the helmet out there and win that game.
Yeah.
I will say
They were really
SMU,
feeling themselves after the first three.
Yeah. And
Trey, what's your take on the? I'm sorry, Jesse. What's your take on the?
Say on SMU, like SMU's got new coordinators on both sides of the ball. Now, granted, they're internal promotions, but they're going to be breaking in all new coordinators. They lost a lot of their skill positions last year, so they're really banking on Kevin Jennings and Rhett Lashley to be the reason they're good. And Florida State, for as bad as they've been on the road, I mean, look, 5-3 at home. You smashed Bama last year. You smashed a decent Wake Forest team. You smashed a bad Virginia Tech team. Like, I won't say it's a must win because I hate that. Like you said, Jeremy, they're all must wins. It's a can't lose because you cannot lose that game because you're at home, man. They're breaking in a lot. You get the week 0 game. Everything sets up for you to win that game. You got to win that game, or else you got to get your first road win in 2 years at Bama in Tuscaloosa. And we talked about last year, man. If they were going to beat Bama, Bama was 2-8, I think it was at that time, outside of Bryant-Denny.
Yep.
That record is not the same inside Bryant-Denny. So it's going to be tough, man. You got to get that SMU game.
Trey, what's your take on the SMU game since the last time we spoke?
Well, there's been a lot of talk about like soft factors and stuff like that, vacuum of leadership, things like that. And I'm not really convinced that there's a true leader on this team yet. Right now, the one by default seems to be Ashland Barker, which is interesting given his kind of offseason that he had, that he would also become the natural leader, which makes me think, has the kid really matured? He's going to be an important part of the defense, or is he just the best that they have on a room full of mature, quiet guys? I don't know. That's to be determined. But talk about the hard factors. You guys are talking about Virginia. While a lot of that stuff may be true, what really happened against Virginia is that they took advantage of a massive deficiency in Florida State's defense and did the same thing. They ran mesh 900 times, and they waited for the kid to cross the linebacker's face. And if they didn't, Chandler Morris took an easy 5 or 6 yards, and they did it 50 or 60 times, right? So while I kind of getting back to the SMU game, there's some things in Florida State's favor: the environment, the week 0 game, the continuity, some of the continuity with some of SMU's non-continuity, the things that are not in Florida State's favor. And also Mike Norvell gets the best performances out of his teams, even if they suck ass the entire year at the beginning of the year.
Yes,
he really does.
Mm-hmm.
Even if the teams are ass, they play well at the beginning of the year and they get worse as the season goes on. That's its own kind of deal. So Mike Norvell does have the early season magic. He schemes up a really good kind of game plan. Now, the thing that is honestly against Florida State in this game is that Rhett Lashley, over his career, whether a coach at SMU or an offensive coordinator at Miami, owns Mike Norvell. He owns him because he is not afraid to. He doesn't outsmart himself. He'll run hyper tempo at you. He'll do the same plays over. He'll do short passes, wide receiver screens, crossers over the middle, run the quarterback, and he'll force you to tackle guys and play fundamentally sound defense 65 times. Over like 65 plays. And what we've seen, Florida State is not a sure tackling unit. They will run the ball at you. They have a mobile quarterback. Another thing that kind of worries me about this game is that Rhett Lashley tempo is going to test the depth of this team. And I think you've seen over the transfer portal that you can buy and retain your way to a pretty respectable starting 22, and Florida State has. But if you look at every single position group, almost except for the exception of like maybe running back and wide receiver, there are depth concerns. And they're going to get tested over a team that's going to run hyper speed at you over and over and over again. And Florida State hasn't been able to defend a mobile quarterback. I don't know, dude, since Biden was.
They were invented.
I don't know. Yeah, exactly.
I
don't know. So there's a lot of interesting things there. And now there's another interesting subscript of this season that was that I find intriguing, being somebody that looks like the play. Tony White last year didn't have the pieces to coach a Tony White defense. He didn't. He's a guy that likes to play a lot of zone. He likes to drop a lot of 8. He likes to play that jack position. He couldn't do that. He played a lot more man than he wanted to. He had to manufacture pressure. There wasn't guys who could win one-on-ones. Now, like you said, it seems like maybe the linebacker position is more functional. I still have my doubts on that, and SMU is going to test you. They're going to test you the way that all the teams have tested you, just to see if you are different. But you've got a Jack now.
He's a good player.
Yeah, exactly. Randy, I think, will have a pretty decent game against us. But so you've got the 3 safeties. I'm confident in the safety room. You've got some guys at the Jack position. Those bets need to hit off. But once again, the interior of that defensive line in the second unit, who is going to be there? Like, who is going to go? What happens if they run duo at you or just inside zone over and over again and grind you down? Maybe it might look good in the first quarter. I really worry about it because Rhett Lashley isn't afraid to do the simple stuff, force your defense to execute, and do it 65 times a game. Yeah. And it's just he won't get in his own way in a way that maybe Mike Norvell will. And kind of finishing my other point, Mike Norvell's in kind of the same position that Tony White was in last year. Mike Norvell likes to run multiple tight end sets. Mike Norvell likes to run counter. He likes to be a little bit more diverse in the run game. He doesn't have the tight ends to put 2 or 3 out on the field, especially not the blocking tight ends. So it behooves him to have multiple running backs on the field and spread it out. That's not what he likes to do. He likes to outgap people, right? So will he coach to his personnel? Is he going to rely more on Herb Hand and kind of carry forth the inside zone dependent run scheme that he had last year with Herb? I don't know. There's a lot of question marks, man. And I'm glad we're playing SMU game 1. But if it's a Mike Norvell, Rhett Lashley matchup, dude, and I'm looking at history with a mobile quarterback, with a maybe not talented team on paper, but a very veteran team, I don't feel good about it. I really don't. And listening to you guys makes me feel a little bit better, but I don't, man. I just don't like Mike
you just made us feel much worse. I was confident about SMU. I think I
get some liquor.
I'm not
trying to do. I'm not trying to.
No, please. Like I usually get blamed for that. I agree.
By the way, Trey, to your point, you made that point specifically about what Mike Norvell likes to do. I think it actually speaks to Herb Hand in the offseason saying that they're doing elements of both the Gus offense and the Mike Norvell offense. And I think that speaks to he's having to go outside what he normally does and lean on maybe some of those more Gus Malzahn's, concepts, not completely, but definitely more of it than he would probably like to do because of personnel challenges. I think that's true.
No, I agree there. Also, because if you think about it, you got Tim Harris in the booth now who understands Gus's language more than Mike's.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So he's a plus addition to the coaching staff. There was some stuff that I saw positives. I think the multi-back sets, those are some of your best athletes of the entire football team. Get more of them on the field at once, man. Go ahead. You got a diversity of skill sets, a diversity of body types. Like they can all do stuff. They really stress out a defensive coordinator. They're running a lot of motion in some of the clips that I saw. That was nice. I think you're really going to have to run quick game kind of RPO stuff with Ashton Daniels. You get the ball out of his hand quick or tell him to run, right? Like use him as a weapon in the running game, which I think plays better at the beginning of the season than it does near the middle and the end once teams kind of get a beat on like what Mike and the guys are going to attack them with Ashton. I think there's going to be, I worry about turnovers with them kind of baiting Ashton into like doing the throw that he wants on the RPO, but I'm not as much worried about that in game 1. It's just, to all y'all's point, if they don't win SMU, you're probably 1-2 or 2-2 going into Virginia, and 2 of your wins are fake, and Florida State's fan season is eliminated again in September. You are irrelevant.
Yeah. I would say, man, if that game was in Dallas, I probably would not even remotely pick FSU because SMU's so good at home, but they haven't been as good on the road. And I will say, let me bring back one little ray of sunshine. Okay. Trey came off the top rope on us.
Sorry, this game's been worrying me.
We need that.
It's been worrying me.
Dude. He gave me a break from the elbow drop, Macho Man style.
Let me at least say this: SMU has lost their opening Power 4 game back to I think 2023 or 2024. So they have struggled in openers the last like 3 years, even as good as they've been, and it's been teams that they've been better than. So maybe Mike Norvell's hiding in the bushes with a shovel and just comes out and gives them the business. And our season starts hot, and then we'll just see how things collect at Bama, man, because that's going to be another big one. You got to follow it up. You can't have – because everyone's going to do the same thing. They're going to go, oh, look, another hot start. Now what?
Yeah. Like Trey said, though, we'll find out real early how much improved those linebackers really are.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. If I have to see Chris Jones blitzing all the time, that means Tony White doesn't believe in his pass rush. and I think you're leaving yourself.
Well, the thing is, Jeremy, I would say though, is honestly, you might want to see Chris Jones blitzing a lot.
I don't want him frequently.
You don't want to see him in
pass coverage.
And pass coverage. That is very clear. When you go back and watch the film, the dude struggles with pass coverage. It's not a skill set. So you want him as close to the line of scrimmage as possible. You know, obviously containing, maybe taking a back out of the backfield, but if he's got to go, you know, that middle robber coverage that they like to run that middle linebacker into, like, I'd be really worried about that.
Yeah, because I don't want him one-on-one with Kevin Jennings on the outside.
Yeah.
Hey, it's like I said the other day, man. You can't get a pass off if you're on the ground. So when all else fails, send them.
That was like some Jimbo action from you, Jesse. It's like I always say.
Yeah, because that's something about what the D line is.
Hey, it's a game of inches, man. So you know
like
what?
I'm excited about the this year Twins, well, especially Mandrell, but he really benefited last year off Darrell Jackson getting double, triple teamed, so much attention. We don't have another guy in that D line this year, unless Kevin Wynn, like Logan talked about, can take that. Well,
Mike Norvell talked about that today in his press conference. He did say, you know, to the point about not hearing much about Wynn. He did talk about Wynn today in his press conference, and he said, you know, that he's been able to sustain. He used the word "in some long sustained drives." So obviously that's key for he's still building up the stamina to play, you know, be an every down D tackle, which is both encouraging and concerning because really him and I'm going to get this wrong. Is it DeMonte that's in that D tackle as well too?
Monte Diggs?
Deontay McCray, the Western Kentucky kid,
to
the inside.
I mean, because that's really what you got, and that no one, I think all of us as an outlet, media outlets, I think we're not focusing enough on the fact of how much Darrell Jackson helped the Desir Mandrell become what he is. Right? If you go back and look at Jared Verse and what's the other guy? Patrick Payton. The reason why Patty Pat was looked at as decent was because he had Jared Verse on the other side of him. So, but when you took Jared Verse away, he was Patty Cakes after that. He was, he was just standing there, not really doing much. Who steps up in that middle to be that blocker to take on the double teams that gets the defense or the offensive line focus on him so that the ends can do their job. That's a huge part of this defensive line.
Yeah, you need Kevin Wynn to play 400 snaps this year because Darrell Jackson, I think, was like 5 something last year, and Daniel Lyons was 425, I think, as kind of your second D tackle. You need Kevin Wynn to play 400 snaps this year. And he played 40 last year. So, he's going to have to – that's your biggest gamble. And I like Deontay McCray.
Yeah.
But what if Daniel Lyons ain't the guy that you think he is? Yeah. I mean, I think he's decent. There was times in 24 he was the best defensive tackle on the line. But, man, I mean, you're going to have to – Kevin Wynn is kind of one of the bigger X factors on this defense.
Yeah. No, I agree. I'm going to ask everybody, and maybe I'm trying to I'm really not trying to pump sunshine and rainbows here, but I'm going to start with TJ on this one. Has there been anything from Mike Norvell that press conference wise or anything you've heard, whatever you can share and I'm sorry to anybody in the chat. Sorry. Someone said we're neglecting you. I'm really not. It's just, I got 8 other people here. I'm so sorry.
I give props to Jeremy because this has got I started running the show with 2 people.
No, I want you all to know in the chat you are loved. I've read them all throughout it. I just want to give everyone their time to speak. But has there been any?
Not your time, chat. It's not your time.
No, they're all going to leave me. Thanks.
Let's do a call-in.
They're all going to go to Doak Talk. That's fine. But TJ, has there been anything from Mike Norvell you've seen all right, maybe he's a little different here this year compared to the last 2 years, especially 2 years ago when he just acted like a spoiled child after not making the playoffs?
I mean, I don't mean to be negative about this.
Please.
But
It's
not
real.
Not really. And maybe that's a good thing about Mike, right? So maybe there's the positive spin. He's just the same guy all the time, right? It's just, I talk with people all the time about, how frustrated they get with coach speak and stuff. And I'm just like, don't tell me about getting frustrated with coach speak because that's all this guy. I wonder if he just gets home and he's the same way, oh man, the boys worked really hard, I don't know,
Maria, I know what this microwave dinner should look like.
He doesn't give anything away. And that's just who he is.
He's paranoid. He's always been.
Yeah. So I don't know. I haven't heard anything. I don't even have a good answer for this. I haven't heard anything that makes me feel any different than the last couple of years. Now that's not a good or bad thing because he was saying the same things before 23 and he was saying the same things before 24 and he was saying the same things before 25. it's not like it's like, oh man, we're going to be terrible because Mike's not saying anything. I think he knows what the issues with this roster are. I think he knows the issues with this program. I think he knows that he's responsible. I mean, there was talk around, Ashton Daniels wasn't their first pick. What's he going to come out and say, man? Like, hey, forgive us. We have no juice on the trail or in the portal. So we got our 4th pick here at quarterback. So don't get mad at us when we lose games. Well, there's a reason you don't have any juice right now. So, I mean, he's aware, like he knows what's going on, but no, I mean, he hasn't said anything or done anything that's like out of character or different. It's just, and there is, I mean, to turn it back around, is there anything he could say? Like, is there anything he legitimately could say that would change anyone's minds other than, man, I'm retiring?
TJ,
would anybody feel
guys, I'm firing myself if we go on this record.
There's nothing he could say anyway. And like, there's no like last year he tried the rah-rah speech at ACC kickoff and everybody thought that was weird. And so I'm glad he didn't do that again. But I don't feel any different than I have every other offseason. And I don't, there's nothing he's going to do that changes my mind.
Well, I know there's nothing he could do, but I'm saying at least from a demeanor and personality side. That's
you are absolutely right. His biggest opponent is trust. Like that is Mike Norvell's nemesis.
That's
is
defense.
Trust,
that's
right?
deep.
Because he there's nothing he can say because we've all been burned. Like the fan base has been burned, the media's been burned, like the national media's been burned, like they've all been burned. So that's the opponent for him. So he can't say anything that's going to change our mind. They just need to go out and do something, to coin a phrase.
Wow. Here we go with that.
The horny hive.
They got to do something like the first game of the season. What's the car you brought up, Trey? The 2017 Corolla.
Solid, dependable,
solid,
dependable.
In that game, the first game, we're going to see if the car turns over, right? The car turns over and the idle's fine. They're going to win that game, right? But the next game, the Bama game, you got to see how this thing gets on the on-ramp and starts humming at 55, 65 as those tires start to wobble. There's nothing that's going to change anybody's mind about him as a coach, the program in general, the recruiting, all of that. Every week, Ryan and I, when we do our show, I look in the camera, I look directly in the camera and just say, and I say it every week, Mike, it's just not good enough, the people you're bringing in. It's just not good enough. So all these names we're throwing out, we're hoping that these guys become something, right? And so whether the team looks prepared, whether the players are being developed or not, like we're not going to gain any trust until we see that. And so I don't expect Mike to be like a rah-rah guy. I don't expect him to be like the negative Nancy guy. I kind of expect him to be the guy that he is. And there's no winning either way. And at the end, if things turn out great, then he can look back on it and go, I knew what I was looking at.
But I would say, I love your point, but I would say this, because we saw this against Stanford. When you think your job is on the line, you coach differently. Case in point, what was his name, Jesse? The DB that got in Mike Norvell's face against
Edwin
Stanford?
Joseph.
Edwin Joseph.
Yeah.
There is no freaking way any of us would let that kid back on the field after what he pulled in that game. You only let that kid back on the field because he's the best you've got to try to win that game, right? Any other time, you'd sit his butt on the bench and you probably leave him at the stadium when you head back to Tallahassee, okay?
Oh, my gosh.
Last year, he was coaching as a man scared to lose his job. This year, I think he needs to have a mentality. It doesn't matter if they fire me. I got 49 million reasons to be super excited.
But that's what he's been like the last 2 years now.
But I don't think so. I think last year he was legit scared. One, because let's be real, if he gets fired from this job, the dude ain't getting another head coaching job, at least for another whatever, right?
Not
in
at
our
the Power
lifetime.
4 level.
CJ will not put in a word for him at Godby.
Right?
Yeah, I'm gonna
CJ will not. If he wants to stay in Tallahassee.
So last year, I really
Fisher's offensive coordinator.
Yeah.
Yes.
So last year, I just really feel like he just thought that mentality. He was so just like, I got it, whatever I could do to save my job, whatever says job. I feel like this year, I don't know. Obviously, we are not credentialed. We're not there to see him practice. The media is locked out anyways. I just feel like this year, though, he has to have this mentality of like, man, I'm going guns a-blazing. Whether this works or not, I'm going to do what got me here. I'm going to call the plays like I know how to call them. I'm going to run the team like I know how to do it. And if we win and I get another reprieve, great. If not, I got 49 million reasons to be great as well. That's the kind of Mike Norvell I hope we see. That
And Michael, to your point, he should feel that way, because if you think about it, that kind of mentality is like, I don't give a damn what anybody is saying or thinking or writing about or whatever. But that's also what the administration has been doing to the fan base in general, right? They have completely disappeared. And so that feeling, that vibe of, we don't give a damn what anybody's thinking or saying or doing, we're gonna hibernate. So he should feel confident to go about that, because that's what the people above him are doing as well.
Yeah, it's a concerted effort, that's for sure. But Logan,
and I want to say one.
Let me get Logan in real quick, because Logan, what's been your take on Norvell so far this campaign?
These guys have said about all of it that I could possibly go into. I mean, the same old. If we had Austin on here, he can't stand the coach speak anymore. I try to find just little intricate details. All I get is I like to find what Tony White says. Nick Williams gives us great interviews, and all Ernie Sims. Like, that's what you're going to take stuff from. Right now, Mike, you're not going to get anything from the interviews. You're just going to get, you want to ask more about, Jason Lopez and certain things like that. You're just not going to get a lot of intricate things. And I think he is pushy off from the media, as we all expected he should be. I mean, this is no shocker to any of us on here that he'd act that way. But he can prove it. He can prove everyone wrong. Of course, like we're talking about that SMU game, he can prove us wrong, but then let's say you get that SMU win, though. We saw that happen last year with the Alabama win. Why now it's on to whatever's next afterward, game after game after game. Can that continue and not just ride that high? And that's when I'm just eyeing on Mike right now. Whatever he tells me, it kind of just goes through this year and out the other at the moment.
Yeah. Jesse, you wanted to make a point before?
No, I think this is a great time to bring up Michael's question, right? At ACC.
Yeah, I was going to get into that.
I think, that's my thoughts on Mike Norvell. Like, you can take nothing from really what he says. We know that. Like, in 24, it was the best, fastest receiver group, the best offensive line, all that stuff. So you can never really believe what he says. But I think Michael's question at ACC Media Days, and if you want to get into that later, but for those that didn't hear it, he said, I know what it looks like. Michael was basically like, well, if you know what it looks like, why has it been 4 of the last 6 years have been losing seasons? And I think Mike Norvell, for once, gave the most real answer that I've ever heard.
Yeah, I wanted to get Michael's take on that.
And it's when he said, like, man, nothing I can say is going to instill confidence in the fans. It has to be through action. And I think that was the realest thing Mike Norvell has said since he's been at Florida State. He knows the time for talk is over, which is why I think, like Logan said, you're kind of pushing away with the media. It's almost like, what is it? Marshawn Lynch used to be like, I'm only here so I don't get fined, right? Like, I think that's kind of the only reason he's doing it. Because I think he knows, man.
Miserable out there.
Right. Like, the coach speak doesn't matter anymore. He knows nothing he says is going to matter until they go win. And, I will just say on that 2017 Corolla, man, I'd hate to see that Carfax, because, buddy, that thing's got some bad crack.
But Michael, about that, man, what was going through your head when you said, all right?
Well, okay. I mean, you guys know, like, as Plant the Spear, man, we always say we're for the fans, by the fans. That's our site. So, like, the ACC Media Days is kind of like our Super Bowl, where we get to interview coaches. This is the only time we get access to players and coaches. So Jesse and I, we like to prepare some questions beforehand. And I sent Jesse the question. I said, listen, we say we're for the fans, by the fans. Somebody needs to freaking ask this guy. He keeps saying that he knows what it looks like. He knows how to build it. He's done it before, blah, blah, blah. Then why has Florida State literally been the dump of the town for our last 6 seasons? Now, obviously, we spruced it up. We made it look nice and everything. And when they came to me, I was sweating bullets. And Jesse, if you go back and watch the video,
I'd hate to see my face when he asked that. I was like, oh,
Jesse almost like, I'm going to start my own show.
We are never getting invited back.
Yeah. But when I asked it, I think sometimes what happens at those types of things, and guys at 247 NoleGameday, you guys who get that access, I think you guys try to do a great job of asking really good questions. But sometimes I just think, man, we have to ask the hard questions, the questions the fans are actually asking. We've got to I mean, we're paying this guy out of public, private, donated money, 40-something million, 50-something $million. Like, he should be able to stand up there and ask the hard question. So I tried to ask it to him in a very respectful way. You know, Coach, you say you know what it looks like. You say you built it before. But obviously 4 out of the last 6 seasons have been losing seasons. What can you tell the fan base to have them believe that this is going to be different? Now, what I was looking for was a real answer. And we finally, in the 7 years that we've had him, we finally got a real answer. It was like, there's nothing to say. What I can't say.
Well, it took 8 different ansors to get there.
I was about to say,
Yeah.
he said words.
Yeah, he really went down a lot of different roads to get there. But Ryan, what's
my
your
favorite
take?
part? Yeah, my final take. This be my final take of the night is I like his dark green shirt that he wore today on the post game. Yeah, on the post practice. That's a positive. His dark green shirt, and I like the 5 o'clock shadow he goes with most of the day. He just looks exhausted all the time. Is my take. Like, and I would be exhausted too. Like, if I put myself in Mike Norvell's shoes and like I have the weight of the world, like I'd literally be a mess. I'd be 2016 Jimbo Fisher at all times, red eyes and losing my hair more so than I already am. But listen, it says everything I need to. You're absolutely right. I appreciate it, Michael, you asking that question. It is a shame that at the Media Days event, that the most interesting Florida State related interviews I heard was to Jimbo Fisher.
Yeah.
Like, where I'm like, I was like this, just listening to Jimbo, just because it was
Don't
like,
fall for that. Don't drink the poison.
Not talking about him coming back, but I'm just talking about like,
I know.
it was a more entertaining interview. And then I go over to the Mike interview and I'm get about 3 minutes and I'm like, I just can't do it. I just can't do it. So I don't dislike Mike Norvell. He's just never, and Vince, you know this from us doing our show this whole time, never been my cup of tea on personality type coach. I think Vince early on, especially, like much more like in line with personality. I am more of a prima donna a-hole type coaches, like, just being honest with you, like give me the Lane Kiffins of the world, and I'm like, and Vince is like, get out of here. You know, I'm the Pat McAfee guy. Vince is throwing up in his mouth a little bit like that. But I can't even pay attention to what he says, because when I watch it, I gain nothing. I just lose 7 minutes of my life every time I listen to anything from Mike Norvell. But his assistant coaches, I'll be honest with you, most of the assistant coaches in this season have been entertaining to listen to. It's better than any Gus Malzahn interview last year, right? I mean, at least we're not listening to Gus just wander off.
Mike this year is like Gus last year.
I'm just an old school football coach.
Yeah. But CJ, what's been your take on Coach Norvell?
No, I think it's the same.
This camp. Yeah.
I think it's the same. And to TJ's point, I mean, that's just pretty much who he is. It's crazy. And I think Logan made this point as far as the different coaches you speak to, with like Tony White and a few other coaches. You only have to ask too many questions. They kind of give you everything you need. With Mike, it's the opposite. You got to pretty much be creative in your questions to get to the point and get an answer in what you need. So no, and also to Mike's point, I agree with to Michael's point, I agree with what Norvell said. There's nothing I can fucking say at this point in time. Excuse my language. There's nothing I can say at this point in time that you guys want to hear. Is just results on the field. And if you guys look at social media, that's exactly is anything the FSU account puts out, anything anyone puts out. I mean, nobody wants to hear that shit. So it's pretty much it's all about performance on the field and what we could do on the field. So that's all I have. And last thing before I head out, Trey Fisher is the offensive coordinator at Gabi this year.
Wow. Okay.
Wow.
Which is pretty damn cool. And
that's his alma mater, right?
Yeah, he played there.
That's awesome.
So he came back. He is the offensive coordinator, and Jimbo has been around and been helping out in that type of deal over the summer. So I thought it's been pretty cool to see Trey be offensive coordinator and Jimbo be around these high school kids and help coach Trey and that type of deal. So still in town, hanging around a little bit. I'm pretty sure he's waiting on the phone call.
Oh yeah,
he's made that clear. He wants to come back. He's not hiding it anymore.
He's got a brand new tree ready to put up. He's ready to go. It's got the twinkly lights built into it. Right? It's all ready to go.
I'm not lying to you, man. If we lose SMU and start pretty shaky, man, I might help them find a damn tree this year.
Oh, not me. Not me.
We're going to go out and cut one
I'll
down.
give him a Hanukkah menorah.
Down.
So I'll give him a Hanukkah. Yeah. I've said my
All right.
piece at Jimbo. TJ, thank you so much for coming on, man. My friend, thank you so much. Doak Talk with CJ. You had to go, or you
See you,
think?
CJ.
Yeah, I got to head out, fellas, but I just
Okay.
want to get that last
See you,
piece.
man.
I appreciate you guys. It was a pleasure.
Good to see you,
I
man.
do agree with the fans. Well, let's try to reconvene on this mid-season, postseason.
Yeah.
Please.
Kind of, and
People tend to really like these panels.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
yeah.
Well, thanks
do
for the
too.
invite, guys. I gotta go get ready the kids to get ready for school. But yeah,
Guys, you
let's
want
do
to
this
put over your
again.
channel real quick before you head out? Just so people know. Oh, never mind. Still, don't talk with CJ. Michael, you?
Yeah, absolutely, man. Plant the Spear, Jesse, our founder, our leader. We love what we do there. We're, as we always say, we're fans, and so this is built by the fans for the fans. We try to bring you real FSU authentic content as best as we can from Dallas, Texas, and South Carolina there. So, but Jesse can tell you more about it. He's the main dude there. I just help.
But
I
think,
appreciate you guys.
Michael, thank you so much for coming on, my
Absolutely.
friend,
Yes,
and
Nice
telling
meeting
the
you, Michael.
story behind the question. That was awesome.
Yeah. Yes,
Thank
sir.
you, man. Thank you. But I think Logan and TJ would agree, and Trey. Mike Norvell's lucky that the North Florida media, I'm talking about the local media, is a very chill, like laid back group for the most part. They're not looking to do gotcha questions or say, why have you sucked so bad for a while? Like, he's really lucky here, where in some college football towns, man, you can't, if you did Mike Norvell type stuff as far as on the field, those press conferences would be like in the line of fire. And I think he gets away with that a lot here. I know they don't want to lose access and sources.
I'm gonna push back on that.
Please push back.
There is no access. There's nothing to lose, right? No, we're not going to practice anymore.
Well, you still want to go to press conferences, right?
They're not going to kick anybody out of a press conference, man. I will say, if you actually look at the questions, like there's no productive way to tell somebody that they suck ass and, hey man, why do you suck ass? Right. We've already talked about Mike Norvell is a very savvy media operator. He really is. He's doing the right thing. Yeah, I think he is, because the one thing you don't want to do as a head coach that makes it way more difficult is become a headline. And he's very good at not becoming
that's
a
a good
headline.
point.
Like, you don't need to give bulletin board material and make your job
Willie
harder.
used to do that, yeah.
Right. There's just there's no productivity in it. So I will say, if I had to give like a positive, if you look at the questions that like Chris Nee asked, or Brendan used to ask, or Zach asked, like I said, they may not be combative, but they are very matter of fact. And you want to get a real answer to get a story. They're not trying to ask like fluff questions, because then they can't write a story off of it, right? It's a waste of everybody's time. So I would say I understand the people's frustration, but the type of questions that you're going to ask, it's not going to get an answer that's productive whatsoever, right? I will say, as far as like my opinion on Mike this season, that I will go on a positive aspect, is that I do think there's a self-awareness. Like, his energy's muted. He's not pumping up big expectations, but he does have a self-awareness of the situation that his team's in, right? It's on a razor's edge. There's been a cultural rot issue for multiple years. And I think that he knows that this team, like, the mental toughness of the team right now is in question, right? So he's not making any headlines. He's being very calm. The spotlight's going on the assistant coaches, which is in a positive light. Those are very dynamic people. So I think he's doing the right. And like he said, he can't do shit, and like, he's got a coach, dude. It don't matter at this point. There's no way that he could go negative, positive. The line sucked. Well, Jesus Christ, why didn't you recruit better people? Oh, they're the best ones ever. Yeah, heard that one in 24, dipshit. Right? It doesn't matter. So it's boring. It's not fun for me to cover. It's not fun for anybody to listen to.
Correct.
But as far as like giving his team the best chance for success, when you know that we really got to foster a very certain environment here, no news is good news. I will say too, Mike is an offensive coordinator. I think that obviously we've seen the floor in 24, but I think he's got a higher ceiling than Gus Malzahn did. Gus Malzahn didn't have a lot of answers when defenses were able to answer his first question. Yeah. Like, it was what he did the same stuff that worked against Bama, and he tried it all year. And I think everybody like looked cross-eyed at the TV on the 35th trick play by game 7 that they'd already scouted. Mike Norvell at least has a little bit of variability. Will he learn from his mistakes in 24? A lot of those mistakes are the worst offensive line that I've ever seen. So he hiked up. Yeah. And I get the frustrations, man. I totally do. But I can tell you from just, and I'll get you guys into a little inside baseball here, in like the 24/7 group chats and stuff, Nobody's worried about access. Nobody's worried about like dumbing down questions. Nobody's worried about watered down anything. If anything, ever since the practice access was taken away, any of those sort of reservations that I don't think ever were there are 100% gone now.
Yeah.
And one thing that is interesting is we have a new guy, John Evans from Oregon. He was actually impressed with the amount of access that Mike Norvell still gave at practice. It was way more than Dan Lanning gave as a disciple. So it's one of those things too, where we're in our FSU centric world, and we definitely should be, but there are some, as far as like the worst place that this program has been in my memory. And that's another thing too. I don't know how much more time you have or how you want to get into it, because we're talking about Florida State, the 3-time national championship winning program, in the lens of, God, I hope we get 7 or 8. I don't know if you guys remember when I was a kid, that was called the lost decade.
Yeah.
And it felt like I was getting a root canal without anesthesia. And now we're hoping to scrape to 7 or 8. So that whole diminishing returns on expectations is another conversation that I think has unfortunately been kind of put by the wayside. But as far as the ultimate prove it year, the ultimate offseason of apathy, the ultimate offseason of righteous skepticism from the fan base, especially with the way the administration's been played in their face last season with like fake evaluation periods and notes and fake votes of confidence with no money behind there's a whole litany of things.
Yeah.
I think Mike Norvell handled the offseason as best as possible by just shutting up and getting through it. Kind of like we all have been.
Yeah. I'm sorry, Trey. He got some good coaching, PR wise or whatever.
No, he's good. He's good at saying nothing, which
I don't begrudge him. If I had $50 million on the table that I don't want to screw up, I would have someone coaching me to make sure. Yeah. He has to think like that. And especially after Sharon Moore, I'm not saying he's going to have stuff with an intern. I'm just saying, I'm not saying that because we would have thought about that.
Close to the 10 o'clock hour. We're getting there. We're getting to the fun parts here.
We have some hot girls in Tallahassee, but that being said, I don't blame him for that. That's why he's got rid of the sermon stuff, and it's so cut and dry. He used to be even a little more talkative before.
He just doesn't.
Yeah. And I don't care. He's
chasing ghosts a little bit, man, because when you think about he's done the same thing, and a guy who's been a highly successful head coach, minus like that little COVID period around Florida State, highly successful at Memphis, led Florida State, like we said, to 13-0 and all this other stuff. A guy who did it the same way, suddenly the way that he did it not only is not working, it is failing at the highest, most embarrassing level possible. And you had from the snub until now a man in a program that you could see on the field that was in a massive crisis of confidence. There's no identity. All the things that he's doing that have worked suddenly don't work anymore. The landscape of college football is different. So this is a guy that has been reaching. And this season is just as much of a test. Like we talk about the leadership on the roster. Right now, this is another leadership test on Mike Norvell, because he has not personally responded to adversity well. He really hasn't. So he's got to be the calming presence right now until some of those people that have been mentioned as leaders in the offseason, it actually shows up on the field, right? He's got to lead the ship. And this is a guy that's been, he's been frankly lost for a couple years now, and he's going to have to figure it out if he wants to continue to be employed by this university.
No, we don't need to get into this tonight, but it goes even above that, right? Because there's a lack of confidence in the administration and the program in general, and the trajectory of this school, depending on the way the conferences play. I mean, everything is wrapped up. It's like I can't imagine the pressure that he feels, because he's the one that's got to go out every week and put on some kind of show. Sometimes the show is good, oftentimes it's not. But the other people get to hide behind the scenes, and none of us have any idea of like the light at the end of the tunnel, right? So forget about this season even. Let's talk about like the reason why we don't have the roster we should have. Yes, it has to do with the fact that we've not been great and no one wants to come here, but it's also because, we don't have the dollars to put toward it. So it's this snowball effect that people not only don't have confidence in him as a coach, the players on the team, the back office and the recruiting and the athletic department and the conference realignment and everything, man, it's all rolled into one. And yeah, he's the one that gets put out there on camera, to basically ask or to answer questions when the underlying tone is always, a lack of like this fan base does not know the future. We do not know what is going to come of this program.
Oh, that's what I'm gonna say. I was gonna bring this up to TJ and Logan. Like, all right, so we talk about would they pull the Band-Aid off and get rid of Mike? Do we trust the admin? I mean, last year it showed they went into the year thinking that they got the new coaches. We're gonna get 7-8 wins. He was good. We beat Alabama, and then they really didn't think of anything until Stanford.
That team should have won 7 and 8 games. It should have.
100%. They were not a 5-win roster.
Yeah,
I agree. But regardless of that, I don't trust this admin right now, like Vince was talking about. I'm sure most people would agree. Do you trust them? Do you think they're going into this year saying, okay, if this is the scenario at this point of the year, we're ready to do it? Do you think they're just like they already have the TJ? Do you think they already have their self-evaluation thing ready to go, and they're going to blame John Garrett and say things take time? We have a new GM. Like I'm prepared for that too.
I mean, it's just hard to know. It's right. I mean, my gut says that if they win 6 or less, that they will make a move. Right. But like my gut also says that if you're a 3-score favorite on the road at Stanford and you lose in embarrassing fashion, you get fired at a place like Florida State. I kind of consider, I want to zoom out a little bit.
Please. I
consider Florida State a top 15-ish program of all time. Like, I don't know that they're solidly in the top 10, but if you ranked, you're like Michigan's and Notre Dame's and Oklahoma's, and there's a lot of old history in that where people like get upset about blue blood or not. But I think they're very solidly in that top 15. I think Miami and Florida are there too. Can you think of another top 15 program that would allow a coach to have 4 out of 6 losing seasons?
No.
Like, can you like think about Michigan, think about Notre Dame, Miami, Florida, like our rivals, Clemson, whomever. Like, think of another Oklahoma. Like, we can name them all if we want to go.
Oklahoma State didn't even allow it, dude.
Yeah,
they forced like Gundy out.
Dude, Nebraska fired Bo Pelini for winning 9 games too many times.
I want to tell you that, yeah, man, if they get to 6 wins
at Florida Franklin
in year 7, they're going to do something. But would it shock any of us if they get to 6 wins and the admin comes out and says, that was progress? See, we made it back to a bowl game. We had at one time we had the longest streak of bowl, we
won a road game
in history, and we're back there, boys. We've started our streak again. Like like the reasonable part of me thinks like, yeah, and of course they won't do that. Of course they'll read the room better than that. But like their track record says no. Like the buyout's still going to be huge at the end of this year. They're going to fall back on that if he makes a bowl and bring him back. So yeah, I don't know. I'm never telling people to like cheer against your team, but I'm telling you, if they're 5-6 going to that last game against Florida, I know you want to beat the Gators, but that's a dangerous freaking win to pick up with this admin. Like, I don't know that I'd be rooting super hard. You're kind of a winner either way in my book there. So I don't know, man. Like, I think he gets fired this year. I think the schedule's too much, but I don't know how you can say that with any confidence.
You can't.
With everything. With everything that I've said tonight, which seems kind of negative, actually, now that I look back.
No, and you're the positive one.
I'm optimistic about this season. I really am.
There you go.
I picked us to win 8 games this season, and it hinges on the Monday night game. We win that game, and I think there's enough momentum there. There's enough talent on this team to pull off 8 wins. I am optimistic about the season. I really am. But TJ, to your point, if we are 5-6 going into that last game, there is no ounce, no shred in my body that would ever want to lose to the Gators. I can't do it. I can't do it.
Yeah.
I will say this on one of Vince's points. I do think, and I don't know, Logan, Trey, I don't know if you guys have ideas here. Jeremy, not to just take over your show.
Please.
But
please. I like it.
It is hard because, and I don't remember the exact stat. At one point last year, Clay Fink tweeted that Mike Norvell was like 19-21 when playing with a roster advantage. Like where if you look at the 24/7 total team composite, right? Which, not to, I know some people like, oh, well, you can't trust their ranking. Whatever, man. If you just look, you're ahead of Wake Forest. Okay, that's right. If you look at the total team composite, he was 19-21. And so, yes, does Florida State have admin problems? Do they have money problems? Do they not? Can they not compete with their peers in NIL? Probably yes to all of that. Like, I'll agree with all that. At the end of the day, for you to be under 500, and this was like late in the year, I think he tweeted this around the Virginia Tech or NC State game, something late. So it hasn't changed much since that time. For you to be under 500 when your roster is evaluated as better, I don't care about any of the money problems you have. I need you to go out and beat Duke. I need you to go out and beat Wake Forest. I need you to go out and beat teams where Miami is not in that category. Clemson, Stanford, yes. Clemson's not in that category because 24/7 Sports would say, hey, your roster is better than those teams. Now, he's pulled off some upsets. He beat Bama. He beat LSU twice. He beat a better Florida roster than him one year. So that's fine. But I just, that's where it's like, man, it's chicken or the egg. Is it the admin? It's both. And that's really the frustrating part of it is, Norvell stinks. And I think we can all admit that. Just isn't the right coach for here. And then at the same time, do you have any confidence the admin's going to bring in anybody better at this point?
Yeah, I know. That's the thing. It's been a roller coaster ride with Mike. You get your big wins and you're, oh, man, we are so back. And then out of nowhere, you just flop. And this is what Mike has done. It's been, it's been a brutal climb. I hate saying it. I hate saying respond. I mean, we're going to hear more of that. We'll hear more of that, though, for sure, once the season begins. I love the response from the guys in the first quarter against SMU. Hopefully it turns into a win. But, I don't have a whole ton of trust in the administration. I think all of us on here were stunned just after NC State, of course, the statement after the Stanford game. Like, that was an absolute stunner. I mean, you're facing off against a women's soccer team and you're on the road, but you can't get away with a win there. I mean, it was disastrous, and it's a fireable offense. Yes, money is a major issue, but you know what? You got that football only facility now. That should be the ultimate game changer, I guess, for you, because they're hyping the whole thing up, and it just seems like that right there is going to get them to back to the ACC championship. But going back to some positives of this season, because I try to be optimistic for the most part. You also got to be completely realistic as well. But there are some things that are intriguing to me. I think the leadership factor, Trey, I know you mentioned, they're not seeing a whole lot of leaders on this team. I think, of course, Deuce is one of those guys that offensively can do that for you. They brought in a few guys on the defensive side with Chris Jones, who I think is a big one. I know the wild card is Ashton Barker because everybody was, not a fan of him calling out them not making moves on the defensive side of the ball, defensive line, specifically to help out the defensive backs. Also called out some of his former teammates or a little junior. Guess what? He's at Ohio State now. He's gone. He's long gone. Edwin Joseph's gone. He's out of that room. And, I like that Ashton Barker he didn't need to say that publicly. We have everybody that's recording shit nowadays, so you're going to get filmed. But I was kind of fine with it. And I think also, too, Mike and Tony White were completely fine with what, at least what he had to say, probably more internally than what he did publicly. But they probably agreed. He gets out of the transfer portal. He comes back, and now he's turned into a guy that's, hitting the rock at the end of fall camp, and he's one of your leaders. So I think you got playmakers now at wide receiver. You didn't have, Squirrel White was nothing last year. He was atrocious. There was nobody there for Deuce Robinson to help him. It was a Deuce Robinson throw. Tommy, just chuck it up. He's 5'9". Just throw it up and see what Deuce Robinson can do with it. You got Mekhi Danzy, who's now an actual receiver. And I think Tim Harris, if we're going to talk about an assistant that actually knows what the hell he's doing, Tim Harris has done a really good job of developing these guys. If Javon Boggs could stay healthy, that would help. But Mekhi Danzy, I think, is going to take a huge step. We've seen Jason Lopez do what he's done. I've heard Devin Carter is an early young stud as well, just needs to develop. So there's some things where some of your top playmakers should be able to do some things. If Ashton Daniels, if Mike calls this an easy offense and this offensive line can do anything, and Herb Hand can work the magic once again with lesser talent at the offensive line position.
Jesse, what's your take on the admin, and do you think they're going into this year saying we know what it is and we're prepared to do it?
Yeah, I do think they do. I think at one point they're praying for at least 7-5 in a bowl game, because I think that's where they know they can kind of scapegoat it. But I think they know that they have to fire him if it gets worse. And I've said this for a long time about the season, man. I really I will never, ever, ever, ever in my lifetime cheer against Florida State. But I really hope we either go 8-4 or 4-8. 6-6 is college football purgatory, because it's going to be like, oh, well, maybe we get that 7th win in the bowl.
Play here, play there.
Right. Like, it's not going to instill enough confidence, because we had a lot of conversation about the money. It's not going to instill enough confidence in the boosters to just all of a sudden reinvest in Mike Norvell. But it's probably not going to be bad enough to fire him either. So I think you need, and when I say 8-4, it needs to be a good looking 8-4, because it can look a lot different, right? You can't have another Stanford at Boston College and go up there and lay an egg against a shitty team, right? You need an upset win. Like, God, beating Florida would really get some confidence for Mike Norvell. But I mean, you've lost to an interim staff now twice. Like, can you do those things that actually make us believe in Mike Norvell again enough to fund the NIL to go buy the players? But at the same time, man, money only gets me so far, because if you can beat an Alabama team that spends more than you do and lose to a team like Stanford that spends less, it's not really about money. It's about getting the most out of the talent on your roster. Now, I do want to say one thing that I think we should keep on our radar that Vince kind of touched on, that we don't know not 1% of how this is going to shake out. But let's just say that Protect College Sports Act gets pushed through and FSU gets that, that 180-day grace period gets added to this bill. It's going to create a situation where they have to leave the ACC next year, or they're not going to be able to leave, more than likely, right? If they have to go independent for 5 years. If they have to write a 9-figure check to leave the ACC, are they going to write a check for $50 million to fire Mike Norvell? Which one of those is more important to the admin? And I think the long term, it's going to be leaving the ACC. So that's something just to keep on your radar. I know it's kind of already fallen apart a little bit there, so we may not know yet. But to Logan's point, I do want to spend a minute and just say that I do think there are reasons for optimism about this team, right? I do think when you look at Deuce Robinson, is one of the best receivers in the country, man. He's one of the best receivers, probably. Malachi Tony's going to give him a run for his money as one of the best players in the ACC from a receiver position, but Deuce is a whole different type of receiver. I think Mekhi Danzy, again, you think about a guy who was coming in as a running back, playing receiver for the first time last year. He's a more developed guy. If you can get anything out of that wide receiver 3 position, I think you got some guys from a committee standpoint that you feel good about. To Trey's point, I don't love the tight end room. I hope you can just get minimal production, 500 yards maybe out of them, maybe a little bit of blocking. I don't have high expectation for those guys. I do trust Herb Hand, because I think one of Mike's biggest missteps throughout this whole thing was not firing Alex Atkins when he should have, because again, he went to LSU and they couldn't run the ball. So you could see how bad he was as an offensive line coach, where Herb Hand, you can look back at his history. You can look back when we did our offensive line preview, like when he was at UCF, he took a bunch of 3-stars and had really good offensive lines out of pieces that shouldn't have been really good offensive lines. So I think if you can get those things to hit, I think if you can hide Ashton Daniels' arm to a degree and just ask him to do enough, I do think with the pieces that fit the scheme better in year 2 under Tony White's defense, we've seen Tony White be good at pass stops. There are legitimate reasons why this team could win 8 games. And I don't think that's out of the realm of possibility. I mean, who is NC? Like at Florida State, you should never be worried about playing NC State, right? But Mike Norvell, I think, is 0-4 or 0-5 against Dave Doran. So that causes some concern. But this team could win 8 games. I do have a quiet, cautious optimism that they're going to surprise some people this year. That said, if they go out and go 4-8, I would be 0% surprised, because of Mike Norvell. And how can you, the guy won 13 games and followed it up with 2. So how can you trust anything that he does? But I do think they're in a lot better position this year than they were last year. I think the culture issues, it's hard to know till you see them get punched in the mouth. But the way they talk from the players, getting there at 4:30 in the morning, doing it as a group, I think those things make you feel better. I love the new assistant coach hires. Nick Williams has been mentioned a lot. Cam Martin, I think, is a guy that should be brought up. He's produced a 1,000-yard rusher at his last 4 stops, and 3 of them were different schools. No offense to Yak, but Yak had never produced a 1,000-yard rusher in his career and was most often a wide receiver coach. So I do like having a guy coaching the edges. No offense to Pot Roast, but he's a nose tackle by nature. You got a guy who teaches the nuances of the position now. I like Ernie at linebacker coach much more than JP. So I think there is some, the secondary, again, you can even talk about Surtain. They've been underperforming relative to their talent. I'm not mad at a change there. We'll see what Blue Adams brings to the table. But I do really think that, and to the point about Alex Atkins, I see the tight end coach. He was their run game coordinator. So there's I want to clear that up from the chat. But I think there's reasons to be optimistic, but man, it's the trust issue, as I think we've all can agree with this coaching staff that, man, it wouldn't surprise me if you have like this team feels so much like 2022, right? Coming off that 5-7 season, a quarterback that, let's be honest, no one really wanted Jordan coming into 22 because nobody really knew what he was going to do. You know, your back's up against the wall, man. I do think that there could be that surprise 8-win season. That 22 schedule was a lot softer than this one that you got this year. But man, at the same time, when Mike Norvell's the coach, it's just hard not to see where they might win 4 games as well.
Yeah, there's no way to tell right now.
No, there's really not.
Yeah. But man, this has been awesome. I promise I'm not going to keep you guys all night, even though we probably could talk ball all night. But is there
I got more bourbon. We can
go. You're better than me. I'm trying to be good this month before football season. But I mean, I think we hit on the important stuff. Is there anything I'm missing, guys, that stood out to you? Trey, please. Like
one thing before I just throw like a Molotov in this thing. Does it disgust anybody else on a cellular level that optimistic at Florida State University is hoping for 8 fucking wins?
I know.
Yes.
Like, this is gross, dude. And I don't get and I'll be honest with you. And I'm not mad at Mike Norvell anymore because
he's a scapegoat.
No, he should have been fired. He knows he should have been fired.
Yeah.
It's not. I'm not mad at him. I'm mad at the administration. I'm not mad at Mike anymore. And I
100%.
do think that he's a good guy. He's doing the best he can. It is what it is. But I'll be honest with you. To me, functionally, it doesn't matter if he wins 4 or if he wins 8. He's not the right guy for Florida State because we are trying to make things more difficult than it has to be at Florida State University in the state of Florida, right by South Georgia. Gobble up recruits and beat the shit out of everybody else. I don't care how offensively versatile you are, how smart you are. Just do it. Make it easy. Why does it have to be hard? Run a fucking program. A program is dependent upon, hey, you know what? If we win 8, I'm still biting my fingernails to see how 2027 is going to go because nothing is sustainable. It's a year by year thing every year. You're not seeing that at Oregon. You're not seeing that at Ohio State. You're not seeing that at Georgia. You're not seeing that at Texas. You're not. And Florida State right now, we're not there, right? We're not. We used to be. We're not there. So do you ever want to get back there? Because you have to have sustainability, and especially in this era of college football, when you are requiring so much outside funding, so much of your money coming in is how consistently good you are, how many eyeballs that you are having on your program. I don't give a shit if he wins 8 because I'm not confident that that's going to lead to 9 or 10 the next year as I would at a program that is healthy. I need somebody who can run a program. I am tired of dealing with 1-year builds over and over and over again. There's no sustainability. So I agree with you. I don't think this admin wants to fire him at all. I really don't. And I think that the schedule might end up forcing their hand just because it is so clustered at the front with some tough games, right? It really is. I do think if the schedule was distributed a little bit more evenly, I would question that he would get fired this year because I don't think the admin wants to do it. And I think they told you that.
They made that clear.
I think the schedule might do the work for you just with the way that it's clustered at the beginning and the fact that even if you have a couple wins, they're fake FCS wins anyway. Nobody gives a shit. And like there's so much righteously toxic anger about where this program has fallen. They are playing in your face. This would not be allowed to happen at any of the programs I mentioned. It wouldn't be allowed to happen at Oklahoma State. They're barely allowing it to happen at Wisconsin, right? Like it is ridiculous. It's ridiculous that we are dealing with this and we are accepting this. So that's my take, my personal overall take. If you want my realistic take, if it's anywhere around 6, they're not going to fire him. It's a ton of money, right? They're just not. They don't want to. They don't want to fire him. They want him to do good. I personally want Florida State to do good. In my personal opinion, that was my realistic opinion, what I think is going to happen, right? It's going to have to be ugly at the beginning, and that's the only chance I think you have to take him out. But my personal opinion is that it's inconsequential because he's not a program builder or sustainer. He's not. And that's why depth is a question mark every year. Oh God, if the tackle that we got from like North Texas goes down at right tackle, what the hell are we going to do? Are you fucking kidding me? It's Florida State University. We're a top 15 program in the past 50 years. These are poor program problems that we're dealing with. And it's only getting worse every year because you guys know we're the frog in the pot right now. We're boiling, the water's heating up, and we're going to die because 8, goddamn, I hope we get to 8. Imagine if you would have said that in 2016, you would have punched yourself in the face. Now, I don't begrudge your point. I do think an optimistic outlook is 8 wins, but then that's the macro conversation of what we're dealing with right now and what you want Florida State University to be as a program, not as a Mike Norvell coach team, but what do you want fan? What will you accept as a program? And I'm telling you, we still get eyeballs right now. The landscape of college football is different from like an NIL and a funding. I don't think it's financially as dire. Like I think there is some pent up money waiting to be spent. You can feel it. The people with the money feel the same way that we do, right? Everybody loves Florida State. But man, your spot in the landscape of college football, you don't own it. You rent it. And you've been late. You got some back payments right now, dude. And you're about to get evicted. And it scares the
payments on the Corolla.
Yeah, scares the shit out of me. And I like I said, this is
it's self-created.
And I knew I threw this in at the end, and we could end the show, but it's like, dude, I do try to pull back every now and then because it's like I see the way this team, 8 wins, I can see that effective offense, production from the defensive line, the safeties look good, but then I pull myself back and I go, why in the actual shit am I excited about 8 wins at Florida State? It feels disgusting, but it's also, what am I going to do? Like, this is the situation that we're in. And I only really get to talk about it on like when I do my own solo podcast on 24/7 and in a platform like this, because my thoughts on like the state of the program.
That's why I wanted you on so bad.
They aren't as relevant to the 2026 season. But man, I do like to pull back the curtain sometimes and be like, dude, this isn't right. It doesn't look right. It doesn't feel right. Yeah. And we're just like he does in some of these games where he has the talent advantage. The program is a reflection of the leader. We try to outsmart ourselves, and we don't just do the easy thing. Get the best player. No, let's have a smaller, quicker defensive line. Fuck that. Get big, nasty athletes on the defensive line, and you don't got to worry about as many stunts and twists and things like that. Right. Just make it easier on yourself. Get the best quarterback that you can get. Make it easier on yourself as an offensive play caller. Stop making it so hard on everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's one guy, and I think I saw him in the chat tonight. I won't say his name. I'm sure he's a great dude. Any video I make, anything, and trust me, you all are on YouTube, comments or everything. But he gets on my case all the time saying, you're going to eat crow. We're going to be an 8-win team.
I hope so.
Watch out. But I finally said back one time, I'm like, listen, I'll get on and be happy to say if I was wrong. But if I have to get on and brag about 8 wins at Florida State, that's an embarrassment. I was there in the 90s. I don't know when you guys started your fandom, Trey. I know you were there last decade. Like, you guys have been fans a long time. Like, I was there in the 90s. You could lose one game to a Florida or a Miami, and they could want a coach gone. The rivalry games alone dictated how you were judged as the coach. We don't even talk about it anymore, how bad he is against Miami lately, Florida, all the Clemson, only beat them once.
Yeah, and
we don't even talk about that anymore. We're like, I understand, but we're so hyper-focused now on, can we beat Stanford? Can we beat Pitt? Can we beat Louisville?
Things are a little different now
for that stuff.
But we're in the fucking ACC. There is no way that Florida State should not be in the playoff pretty much every year. Every year.
Not with the 12 team. Yeah, with 12 team, absolutely.
Yeah, and I will say real quick, like, obviously, they preach the standard. Mike Norvell understands the standard. The further, to Trey's point, the further you get away from that standard, it's not a standard anymore. And I think even if he wins 8 games this year, the bar's got to be back, like, next year. Like, okay, you know what, 24 was whatever it was. Last year, you got the keys taken from you. It is what it is. Next year, it's got to be like, man, if you're not in Charlotte or you're not in the playoffs, I'm sorry, 9 wins wasn't good enough. It's just not where you need to be. And I totally agree with you, Trey. Like, I've said a lot on our show that the thing that kills me with Mike Norvell is that he assembles a team. He doesn't build a program. Like, we even did some crazy comparison one year about the 3 Little Pigs. Like, he builds his house out of straw, right? And that's why I think with the next coach, whenever that does happen, I don't want a slogan. I don't want to climb. I don't want to do something. I want belt to ass to be the slogan. I want a guy with pedigree. I want a guy that comes from the Kirby Smart tree, the Saban tree, the Dan Lanning tree. I want someone who knows what it's like to be an absolute ruthless killer on the trail, that's going to go out and stock this roster with talent, that's going to be screaming at the players.
That's what I'm saying. I want a guy that they fear.
I want pedigree.
Guys.
Yeah, I want pedigree more than anything. I want recruiting because, again, man, like I hate to keep giving them credit, and I know NIL is a big part of what they're doing down in Moral Gables. But like Mario, when he got there, man, like they didn't have success at first, but he's like, you know what, we're going to recruit our ass off, and it's going to pay off someday, and it did. And then they only supplement through the portal now. They don't build through the portal, and they're just, they're spending a bunch on quarterbacks, but they're recruiting guys in the trenches on the level of a Georgia and Ohio State. And that's why they're so big. And then you look at what we're doing, like, okay, even if you win 10 games this year and you feel great about it, you still have never signed a top 10 recruiting class at Florida State. You still have not developed a single quarterback not named Jordan Travis, which I give Kenny Dillingham most of the credit for. Like, you still are not putting out draft picks that are homegrown guys. You're getting these one-year rentals that you punted into the draft in 23 out the 23 team. Like, even if you win games, to Trey's point, you're not showing the signs of building a program. You're not producing draft picks. You're not recruiting at a top 10 level. And those are the things that Mike Norvell has never done. Like, this thing is held together with bubblegum and duct tape year in and year out. And like, you got to have a guy like Kirby. I was watching an interview with Kirby Smart at SEC Media Days, and he's like, man, we like what we have. So, yeah, we're going to go get some guys because you can't – it's hard to hold on to depth. Everyone's just basically swapping, playing goldfish with each other's 2s and 3s nowadays. But, like, we like what we got. And Mike Norvell, like, you every year you don't – like, I used to – man, one of my favorite things used to be making hype videos before the season. Now it just would be a highlight of a bunch of other teams because we don't have starters that come in year in, year out and year in and year out. So I just had to quit.
That's true.
And so, like, I want to see a program builder, to Trey's point. I want to see a guy that knows what it's like. That's why I like a Glenn Schumann or something like that from Georgia, a guy who's just knows what it's like, man. You got to have talent. You got to recruit your ass off at a place like Florida State. That's how Mario did it. That's how look at Florida's recruiting right now. Like, and the other thing, too, my last point on this is, like, this is the one thing that I was kind of worried about is now that you've been, like, I tweeted out last year in the halftime of Miami. I said, okay, guys, I hate to go scorched earth. I mean, we already seen 2024, but like, I think it's time to fire Mike because you watched Miami 2 years less into their tenure lap you in your own building. And then everybody's like, oh, come on. Then Pitt happened. Then Stanford happened. And it was like, okay, well, I mean, that's the thing is like, you're getting lapped by the other programs in your state. So it's only going to be harder to build that program. Like, look at the personality Mario has. Look at the personality Sumrall has. And then look at Mike Norvell. Like, you don't have success to sell. You don't have the personality. You don't have the recruiting history, and you don't have the NIL. So where is your advantage if you're Florida State? That's why I think you got to go out and get another guy who can build a program. With that being said, you cannot screw up the next hire because I don't think we can afford 2 buyouts, which is why, like, maybe if you'd have thought last year you hired a James Franklin, like, I think the NIL would have been a lot more than what it was this year because people would believe in that. People just don't believe in this. And even if they do, it's a house of cards, man. It falls apart every other year.
I agree.
So I guess this was a bad
What's
time to say I was going to predict 10 wins this year. I guess this is a bad time.
Nice.
Bad timing. Not the right panel to bring that up.
You went from 15 to 2.
I need to know what the 2 losses are, though. Like, I watched Mario.
It's BC and Central Arkansas.
I was about to say, you know, he loves losing to his alma mater. So.
Oh, for sure. Other than maybe SMU because it's Dallas. He's from there. But I did, and I know it's not a Hurricane show, but I don't know why I was a glutton for punishment today, but I watched the ESPN thing with Mario. And it's pissing me off now because he's getting really good with the media. Like, you talked about his personality. It's there. But he says the little things that, like, if I was a recruit watching, like, yeah, he talked about what he's going to demand out of his players. And then he says, now I've got Ruben Bain spending his offseason here, demanding those players who follow him what they're supposed to do. And I'm like, I thought we had that for a little bit with Mike.
We had Keon telling people not to come here.
We had Keon telling people, you know, you had Jermaine Johnson here for a little bit, like, helping out. I understand, but that's, like, to your point. Portal should be a supplement. It shouldn't be the base of your team.
Yeah.
And that's what it is with Mike. And I don't want to have to go through this every year where I'm like, all right, who's going in there and who's actually going to be our receiver this year? I never thought I'd see that as a Florida State fan. I was there in the 90s.
And you could say Signetti kind of proved that you can do it through the portal, but we also don't have Mark Cuban bankrolling our roster.
They have a few Forbes guys there, like 500 guys who are helping there.
Yeah, they
like Indiana.
Yeah, Logan, if they win 10 games, man, like I think we'll all be like bugs to a bug zapper. But again, last time we won 13, followed it with 2. So it's like, okay, we did a whole thing about like, can Mike Norvell win back the fan base? And I was like, bro, even if he goes 16-0 and wins a national championship next year, I'm gonna be like, okay, Mike, I'm still watching you because
you're in the hot seat, buddy. You're
like 16-0. Does that equal 0-12 the next year? Like, what are we doing here?
Oh yeah, no, it's the roller coaster ride. Yeah, no, I'd have to go smoke a doobie on the balcony to predict 10 wins. I don't have my final number yet, but 5.5, not too bad.
I would go over.
Area. I feel like I would be on the overside at the moment on that, but we'll see what happens. There's still a lot more things that we got to find out in this camp and see who QB2 is. I don't think Kevin Sperry is consistent enough, which is kind of disturbing on that end, but also kind of shows you what you have in Ashton Daniels if it took an actual battle. And who knows what kind of battle that actually was, but if Kevin Sperry is just kind of staying in the mud right now, it seems like Malachi Marshall is going to catch him really damn quick at, 170 pounds, if that. I think that says a lot. He's the most talented guy in the room by far with his arm, his release, can work on the move, which is exciting for whoever might be the next head coach next year. We'll see, what kind of playing time he'll get in some of these later cupcake games, which will be fun to watch. But there's still some things that we got to find out in this camp and see who wants to be RB1. Seems like Wisner, who I didn't necessarily think he's got a lot of versatility, but I like Singleton a lot. He's just got to get better with his pass blocking. Usman.
They invested a lot in Wisner, from what I heard. Like they invested a lot.
And
that's a factor.
That's been a factor for him in his college career.
This guy this much.
He's been that factor, but there's still some things that have some question marks, but you could find positive, negatives, and everything of it. And they just have to prove it and show it to us at that SMU game. Take a little bit from New Mexico State, who's in that rotation in the second deep and such, and see what Jason Lopez can do as a true freshman on the offensive side of the ball, and see what this pass rush. If we're getting all this hype about the pass rush and Jalen Anderson and Rylan Kennedy, they better be busting ass off the edge. Like it should be not even a fun game. It should be Timmy Jernigan flinging guys around, just having fun with New Mexico State like that. Shouldn't be any kind of talent difference there for those guys. So it should be an absolute mayhem in week 0. But
unless they're holding back, unless they're holding back a little,
even then, I think you should physically dominate them to the point. Like
they
Logan
said, consistency.
Even if you line up and run base offense and base defense, you should whip their ass at the point of attack, basically. Right.
Yeah.
Like I think what you're looking for in New Mexico State is you're not necessarily looking for the good. You're looking for it not to be bad. Like when Clemson struggled against Troy last year or whatnot, you were like, red flags. Then they went 7-6. Like if you have 6-8 sacks against New Mexico State and you don't give up more than about 2 sacks, it doesn't look ugly. Daniels doesn't throw a pick or 2 or something like that. Then I think, okay, we can roll something into SMU. But man, if it's the little negative things, like if you're giving
no choice,
right? If
you have
give
no
up
choice
3 or 4
to not
sacks
go
in
all
that
gas,
game, right? Like you, and to me, you talk about depth. I want to see the starters get 3/4 of that game because the next 2 are so important. I don't care about your depth. You got to get them starters ready for the next 2 games. I don't care what your third string quarterback or left tackle looks like. You need the first string to be ready for SMU and Alabama. It's too important. You can play them in Central Arkansas. Matter of fact, don't even put a starter on the field in that game.
No, I'm with you all. I'm with everyone. It is what it is at this point. I'm still excited for the season a little bit, but I just know not even if we beat SMU, I'm still not going to be like, maybe he's turned the corner. I did that last year after Bama, and a lot of people got on me saying I was just negative. I said, man, college football is week to week. I mean, and I truly feel a little bit we caught some
break. Year to year with this stat. I mean,
thank you.
You said you win 10 this year. What's your? I mean, you will feel
still better. Starting at 5 next year for your over under.
We will feel better if we win 10. The ultimate goal is to win games, and so if he can piecemeal a year-to-year roster that wins 10 games, 3 out of every 5 years without the massive dips to 2 or 5 or whatever, I don't care if he piecemeals a roster every single year that wins 10 games. I mean, whatever. The problem is he's just not going. You're not going to do that, right? Like. You're not going to pay your bills by winning scratch offs every month, right? Like that's not how life works. So, Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, if he did that, I think we'd all be fine. But the proof is in the pudding.
Right now, these players, these recruits are like, is he even going to be here next year? So I think you're fighting that if you're recruiting at the moment.
Which is why I think you got to have a good enough season.
Which is crazy is I don't think he's on the hot seat right now. It's just crazy. I would not put him on the hot seat right now.
Oh, wow.
I don't think he was BSing when he said, I'm not worried about a hot seat.
I think he's on a scorching hot seat, but I think the buyout is like sitting on a bag of ice on a hot seat.
Oh, yeah,
right?
that's what I mean. It's in a cold tub. It's in a cold tub.
It's melting. It's melting fast.
Yeah.
And I think, again, man, I think the inflection point is that bye week before Clemson. Like, if you're 2-4 with 0 Power 4 wins going into Clemson,
he has to be good.
I mean, then I think either Tom Herman or Odell's going to be coaching the team against the Tigers. I mean, it'll be Halloween. Like, it could very well happen. But, man.
And it'll be Halloween, too, that night, the things that people could do there. Like, I hear you. But,
I'm still excited. I'm still excited, man. I'm still coming down for that SMU game. I'm still pumped up for it. Like, I'm still ready. I'm always going to be ready to watch them play. But man, I mean, it's just you can see a path to where it can go off the rails so fast.
The schedule is set up a lot tougher this year than last year's.
But you know what I love
about
the
happened
schedule,
last
though?
year.
The thing I love about the schedule is it's difficult enough. Like, again, you're Florida State, man. It doesn't matter if you line it up against Bama 12 weeks out of the year. Like, it's hard enough that it's either going to make him prove he's should get another year, or it's hard enough he's not going to get another year. And that's the thing I like about schedule. Like, if he had a soft ass schedule this year, then you're right. You might get another year based on something that didn't really mean anything.
It's a put up or shut up with that schedule, which I like.
FIN's got a good comment there. I was going to bring that up. Alfred better have something going on. I mean, he better be doing that's his job right now to have something lined up. He should be talking to agents.
He might be lining up something for him.
That should have began last year. I mean, if they had that decision made after they put that statement out right then and there, you're already, identifying prospects of who could come in and who is interested. Who's ready for Brian Kelly, everybody? Let's get going. Let's just have a great time.
Family.
Could you imagine? Could you imagine?
Like a whole crew of like Brian Kelly, Deion Sanders, Jimbo Fisher, like Mickey Andrews.
Line that shit up.
Charles
Kelly.
Coaching rehab.
Come on. We'll take the clicks. We'll take the views. It's been a rough last offseason. If you're covering this team, it has been brutal. It has been awful. So line it up. Give me rooting. I don't give a damn what happens. It's gonna be entertaining.
I'm telling you, man, that coaching search is gonna hit like crack in the 80s. Like, it's gonna be a great time.
We're doing live 24-hour live streams.
Yeah.
Yes. Oh, I'm here. I'm here for that. But that was something also. Baby. I know it's a moot point now. I was upset that they didn't do a booster tour this year.
Oh,
to me, you're making $10 million a year.
Don't get me started on that.
Oh, and I know this is more towards the group therapy stuff that we did a while ago, but this happened after. But your head coach is making $10 million a year. Whether your record's been good or not, your job is to get in front of the fans. Raise funds, as Bobby Bowden said. I'm a salesman for the university first.
Especially the time you need money.
So between no booster tour, no spring game, the admin went radio silent this whole offseason pretty much.
That's
as Logan just said, you better have the contingency plan.
But hey, we went to Jacksonville, which helps us win the road games that we haven't won in 2 years. So at least there's that. I mean,
I did a whole video on that. I did a whole. But yeah, man, does anybody have any points to just close the show? You guys have been incredible. I can't thank you.
I want to point out my buddy here, Mr. Janikowski, who's getting his number retired.
I went to school with him. He was a close friend of mine when I was.
Seabass, looking like the man that he is. Finally getting the respect that he's due here. So I want to point
long overdue. I can't tell my Janikowski stories on there. But it's great dude. But TJ, I can't thank you for coming on enough. Anything in closing you just want to talk about? Your show, anything. Take over. I don't care.
Ultimately, I'd like to see them win games. Right. Yeah. I don't think Mike's the guy. I'm not going to predict them to make a bowl this year. I don't think. But I do want to see them win games. I'm going up for the first 3. I'm out of town in the last one, trying to pull a Jeremy where I go to Knoxville for the Texas game. But I'm going to a lot of these games. I'm going to cheer for Florida State to do well. Like, I ultimately don't think it happens, but I'm going to show up and still support. And the boosters are still cashing my checks every month. I guess we don't really do checks anymore, but I want them to do well. And I at the same time don't think it's going to happen, but man, prove me wrong, and then we'll see where it lands. If not,
pay up my bet for you for World Cup. So
we'll get together again and talk head coaching candidates here soon. If
Trey, people couldn't believe I even knew you last time when you came on the group therapy. So thank you so much people couldn't believe I knew Trey Rowland.
Oh, Jesus Christ, dude.
And TJ. But
great fuck.
But anything you want to say in closing, man? I can't thank you enough for coming on. And
listen, man, all the people that I work with are like Noles 24/7, right? Like they are like the peak of like professional journalists, everything like that, man. But me, I'm just a fan who lucked out, and this shit, it kills me, dude. I care about this. I look forward to football season, and I have every day since I was a child, dude. I'm in it. I've been a fan for life. I've seen it all. I don't like talking about the team this way. This sucks. I hate it. I'm tired of dealing with these apathetic off seasons, man. And I want, like TJ said, dude, I want to win. I'm tired of it. I'm tired of I live in Iowa now. I used to live in Florida. I live in Iowa.
Yeesh.
Dude, Iowa rules. Who said yeesh?
You got corn.
Man, bitch, we got a lot of stuff. Don't you worry about my state. Anyway,
can we have some of them
Beer?
offensive
I wasn't like a CIA black site extraction. I decided
you got some good wrestlers.
There's a lot of nice stuff.
Send us some Midwest beef. That's all I ask.
Oh my God, dude, here we go.
Got some
Iowa
beer.
Slander.
Yeah,
Wasn't
beer.
ready for that. Either way, I'm tired of walking into my office. I'm tired of walking into my office with my FSU stuff on and getting looks of pity from Iowa fans. I liked it better when we were good as shit and they hated us for being awesome, or they thought we were cool because of the one starter jacket that they bought back in 1992, and they're all kind of secret fans. I'm tired of looks of pity from upper, mid, Big Ten fans that are the nicest people in the entire world.
Yes,
I just want to get back, and I just want to get as close to back as possible. And, dude, if Mike is the guy to get us back, I have my own personal beliefs on that. I think I made them vehemently clear. But, bro, I want to get back sooner than later because this kills me, and it kills, I know, all you guys that are watching, dude. I just want to be good again. Like,
how do you think I feel being in South Florida where it's like I mean, I went to the gym today in my Florida State stuff, and someone said, man, I'll give you this machine. You're going to have a rougher football season. And it was like...
You didn't have to work in. He just gave it to you.
Yeah, he just said, like, we were walking up there. He's like, man, the season you're about to have, like, yeah. I couldn't argue, like, but Logan, anything you want to add? And I appreciate you coming on. I love your show too.
No, Jamie, I appreciate you, and it's great having this discussion with you guys. Haven't done like a panel like this in a while, so it's always good to chop it up. Everybody has different perspectives. Everybody covers it. Yeah, everybody covers it in a different way too, and I think fans are. They're spoiled because there's different kind of shows you can go to for all different kinds of personalities and takes, and it's wonderful. And it's more fun, of course, whenever the team is doing well. And so coverage doesn't stop though. We do our thing. The show goes on. I'm excited for football, like all of us are. We're gonna be excited for getting out there. We got that Hall of Fame preseason game. That was effing awesome. Like that was badass. Like I just am excited for football. We can see training camp down here in Tampa. Like pads are hitting. Like I just love football. So it's just a pleasure to come on here, talk it up and talk shop with you guys. And also to all the listeners, the guys in the comments, the ladies as well. It's just super lucky to have this job to be able to do this and, shoot the shit for 2 hours talking Mike Norvell and 2 losing seasons, and people still want to come here and listen to us. So
I mean, almost 300 people
in our listeners
are watching right now, which is
awesome.
For the last 2 years, I'm blown away. Vince, anything you want to add?
We are 17 days away, and I cannot wait for this season to start. Jeremy, by the way, I'm proud of you, man. Your show has taken off, and it's been awesome to watch you, do the things that you do, not just the Florida State stuff, but all the other stuff too. It's just an interesting amalgamation of things, and it's really, really great.
Thank you.
But my background is like, I'm not a football player, but I spent a lot of time sweating my ass off on Doak Campbell Field, with the Chiefs and being a part of the pageantry of the college game, man. It is ingrained deep in my soul. And to see and to have to go through what we're all going through, that's why Ryan and I have a show every week. And even through the doldrums, people are coming back and they want to talk about it. That's why this logo, it's more than Mike Norvell. It's more than 2 and 10. It's more than 5 and 7. It's more than all of that. This logo and this program and this university deserves more than what we've been seeing. And regardless of all that, I'm excited about the season. I think we're going to go 8-4. And I'm looking forward to maybe wallowing in some success because of that. But I will not, Trey, just like you, even if we get to that 8-win, I will not feel any better about the next season because I will not know.
You can't.
I will not know.
Hell yeah, brother. Hell yeah.
At all.
Yeah.
What's about to come. But I appreciate you, Jeremy, for inviting us on.
Thank you.
And you're the best, brother.
No, you guys are
Shout out
amazing.
to the Marching Chiefs.
Shout out to the Marching Chiefs.
Hell yeah,
And
dude.
before we close with Jesse, I want to say Ralph in Hawaii, who we all love. He offered you one of those doobies, so maybe it'll.
Yeah, Spartan Nole. Yeah.
Oh,
Spartan Nole offered you one, so maybe you'll go 11-1. Then
hit Twitter, DM me that. What do I need to do? Let me know.
He'll be there for the first game. I'm sitting with him.
Perfect.
Jesse, I want to thank you for this idea. All you guys for coming on, and I took your idea and ran with it, Jesse. Like I have to give you the credit.
No, man, I
But,
appreciate you putting it
thank
together.
you for coming on.
Because it's one of those, man. Like you had the connections to put it together. I'm one of them. Like I never have guests because like I'm too, I guess, introverted to actually reach out to people and put it together. So I appreciate you putting this together, man. It's actually the last one we did led to a couple collabs with someone who was on the last one. And so I love that. And I hope that maybe this can do the same because, it's like not to make fun of something a little more serious, but it feels like we're almost like the band of brothers, right? We're going through some shit together right now because
we're in the trenches.
It's tough, man. Like it's tough to be a fan of this and it's tough to it's even tougher to come on here and talk about it. Like during 2 and 10, you're coming on your 9th loss of the season. You're like, what the hell do we even talk about, right? Especially when you don't get paid for it. That's even
you knew they weren't going to fire him no matter what.
Right. I drove thousands of miles and spent thousands of dollars of my own money last year throwing. Jeremy, you were at the tailgate for NC State. Like we still have a great time, man. And I'm with Trey. Like, I just want to see this team win. And like Mike Norvell, I may not want him to be the coach long term, but as long as he's the coach, I'm going to cheer for him to win because that's what's best for the university, right? Not paying $50 million to fire a guy is best for the university. And I've said this for the longest time, man. No, I'm not a fan of Mike Norvell or Jimbo Fisher. I was a fan of Bobby Bowden, but I'm a fan of Florida State, right? I don't care who the coach is as long as they're doing what's right by the program. And so I just want to win and I just want things to be fun in Doak again, man. Like 23 under Mike was the funnest. It was a great time, but now it's like you go into games and you just kind of expect to lose. And like, I'm just tired of those days. So I just want brighter days ahead. But I want to shout out to all you guys that came on the show. Again, I look forward to the midseason thing. I also want to shout out to the listeners, right, that came on here because again, man, when you do this and whether you're paid or not, like I know we're not paid to do this, but like whether you're paid or not, man, the support that they show makes it worth it. Like that's why we still do this because they show up for us. So we want to show up for them. Spartan Nole 71, Hyperbolic Nole, the Hawaii guys, man.
All the Hawaii guys, shout out.
Two good friends. Like I'm going to a family cookout with Spartan Nole for the SMU game.
Nice.
Like those are the things that mean a lot to me because that's what the FSU community is all about. But, man, it's a hell of a lot funner when you're winning games. So keep rocking with us because we're going to either be the therapy session that you need or, man, we're going to be back when it's winning. We're going to be here either way. So, man, just go win some damn games. That's all I got to say.
Well said, man. I couldn't say it much better. I mean, I love this. Like, I love talking football. And you guys are, like, my favorite people. And the ones who were here, too. Like, I wasn't just going to be like, all right, let me just find 7-8 people. Like, I only wanted people on who I like and respect. And I think it was Vince a year ago told me, these shows that people tend to like having other people on, other perspectives, other this. And
I remember watching these when I was a fan. Like these were cool before I started podcasting. I was like,
100%. I remember.
Yeah, man.
I remember. I still like. It's funny. I think back. Trey and the Rollcast. TJ when he got started. Logan, I remember your show the day before the FSU Miami game 2018. I was going to that game, and I remember saying, man, I'm going to listen to everything. Can I get any hope? And one of your co-hosts picked us to beat Miami. And I remember saying, what is he was almost right. It's just I think this is good for the fans, man, to get different perspectives, different everything.
I was going to say, I forgot about it till the other day when I was looking through my Twitter DMs looking for something because I lost my phone the other day. And I actually won like a James Wilder rookie card from Logan way back in the day from Hear the Spear, man. Like that's how far back it goes, man. So it's surreal for me to even be like on this, man. So I appreciate it.
No, but I've got to watch all of you guys grow too. Like Trey with the Rollcast, growing to what he's going, TJ, how he started. Like it's just awesome. And I think everyone you don't see another fan base that you see 9 people jump on a call like this.
9 people show up to watch it.
And thank you to everyone in the chat. Thank you so much. Seriously, like I'm sorry I didn't get to your questions up here. I was so enjoying listening to everybody. So I'm sure I'm missing something, but I really appreciate that you all came on tonight. Like seriously.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
My pleasure.
Thank you, Jeremy.
Thank you. Seriously, thank you all. You guys are killing it. Yeah. I'm a fan of you guys, man. I love listening to you guys. Go Noles. Let's hope for better things this year, right?
Let's win some games. Man. Go Noles.
Games. Let's get TJ's coaching search ready to go.
Right.
See you guys.
Take care. Take care to everyone in the chat. Go Noles, man. Thank you.
Go Noles.
And thank you to Michael and CJ and Ryan who were here earlier.
Definitely.
Thank you, everyone. You still live? When is this damn